Folks, it's Tuesday here on WCBS, which means it's time for the High Council. Now, you're probably wondering, where are these guys? I don't see Andrew. I don't see Script Doctor's icon. Well, I talked to those guys, and we'll be back next week. Tonight is a very special show because I wanted to talk to you guys and raise awareness about something that's going on in the community. We are YouTubers. We all work together. We interact together. We all make this platform what it is. And every once in a while, something happens that kind of ruins it because there's somebody out there that tries to make it difficult to operate and have a good time. So tonight we're going to talk about exactly what's in the title and a whole lot more. But let's introduce our guests for the evening. Now, folks, I'm aware there's a little bit of a lag on the camera. I apologize, but the guys can hear me, so it'll just have to be the way it is. But for all those watching tonight, we're still going to have the same amount of fun. We're going to talk about stuff that you want to as well after we talk about some of this. And we'll read all your messages and have a lot of fun. But first off, from one of my favorite shows on the internet, you know him, you love him, one of the hosts of the 3POA podcast. Say hello to Laser Pants.
Hey, Jeff, what's going on, man?
A lot, man. A lot. But not as much as going on with you guys.
It's been a really interesting, week and a half or so? Yeah. It's been good.
Now, folks, our other guest is from one of my other favorite toy channels here on YouTube. I've been on his channel. I believe he's been on here in the past, maybe, right? And
Nope.
Okay, so nope, this is your first time on WCBS.
Yeah.
So, well, welcome in. Folks, say hello to the one, the only articulated Chad.
Everybody needs a Chad in their life. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Like I said, guys, it's been a crazy week here for me. Folks, you joined us on Thursday night. We celebrated episode 400 of the podcast. It was a banger. We had so much fun. I guess, 35 is what it is. So Friday was a rough day for me. But we had a great episode, and we appreciated all the support. We'll be back with another big one this week. Got some new surprises and some new fun things along the way. But channel news real quick before we get into everything. One, we've had 2 new videos drop today. Be on the lookout for more tomorrow. Check out our big Star Wars thing. Folks, it took me forever to edit the first couple minutes. I got it going to the beat of the music. There's a lot going on. When I told you we're going to do these video documentaries, they're going to be world-class like everything else that I put out. Also, 2, we will have the Wokebusters trailer. I believe the guy said tomorrow. So I will probably be launching the book on Thursday's show. So join us for that and a whole lot more on WCBS, including our trip to Japan next year. But folks, I see a lot of names out there, a lot of toy collectors, a lot of people out there in the community. One of the things I do believe in is all sticking together because we're all collectors. We're all trying to have fun. And so we all here on YouTube talk about toys and our passions and our collecting. And sometimes a wet blanket, a dirty diaper can ruin a good time. So Laser Pants, tell us what's been going on over this last week and a half that you've been talking about.
Well, I mean, just to sum it up in one sentence, the toy community has got our very own mundane Matt now.
Yep.
Yeah. It's happened to us. So I have a friend in China who works around the toy factories. He had a picture that he took of some prototype head sculpts from an upcoming G.I. Joe figure that has not been released yet. Like, no one's seen it, right? So he sent that to me. I posted it on Instagram. A few G.I. Joe sites picked it up and reposted it on their sites, on their Instagrams, and they credited me, as you probably should, right? Well, there's this one guy that covers G.I. Joe called Viper Island. Now, this guy is notorious for taking content and not crediting. And that's exactly what he did to me. So he took the picture, he photoshopped it to make it look like his, and then he posted it and took the credit for it on Instagram. So I actually wasn't really upset about that. It's kind of a scummy move, but whatever. I actually thought it was kind of funny. I'm like, I got Viper Islanded, right?
Yeah, it's a verb now.
Yeah, it is. His name is a verb. Viper Island is a verb. When you get Viper Islanded, it's when your content is stolen and reposted by him. So I try to be funny on the internet. Sometimes I'm funny, sometimes I'm not. So I made some memes of this guy and I threw them up on my Instagram. Next morning I wake up and I have 3 copyright strike takedowns on my Instagram. So what do? I decided, well, let's throw it up on YouTube. So I do a live stream on YouTube, and this is part of that live stream. It's a new one I'm doing on the 3POA podcast channel called Toy Community. It was actually episode 1 of Toy Community. And I put this guy on blast and I laid it all out there. I showed the copyright strikes, right? And over the next few days, more people were sharing memes of this guy. We were laughing and making fun of him. And I was sharing Instagram stories from other people, the memes they've made, right? Those started getting struck. He copyright struck my Instagram 27 times.
Jeez.
Now, keep in mind, nothing I posted contained any of his copyright. Nothing. Sunday morning, I get up and my live stream was taken down and my channel had a copyright strike. He struck the video. Now, what I did in that video was I took 3 minutes of his 21-minute video. He had a 21-minute video. 3 minutes of that was him just shitting on everyone in the toy community. Of course, he does this thing where he doesn't say their names, but you know who he's talking about, right? That really like wormy, squirmy bullshit.
Yeah.
So he copyright strikes my live stream. And by the way, this 3-minute clip that I used in mine, I totally EFAP'd it, right? Pausing, talking over it. It was transformative. It falls under fair use 100%. Unfortunately, YouTube doesn't really matter. When you're a channel like mine, you have 6,000 subs almost. You're not going to talk to you human. It's going to be just automatic, right? So he struck my channel, and over the next few days, he continued to strike my Instagram until my Instagram account was deleted. In the meantime, he's striking Chad. Chad's sharing stuff about this. We start sharing screen grabs of the actual correspondent from Instagram and YouTube on our Instagram, like saying, look at this guy. He's copyright striking us everywhere, on Instagram, on YouTube. So what does Viper Island do? He copyright strikes all of those screenshots that we're posting.
With no names.
Yeah, no names. So, and that wouldn't even matter. You can say someone's name, right? So he's just on a tear. He's super petty, right? He's coping and seething. He's really upset because we're making fun of him, and he's just copyright striking everything. Now, if you look into it, what he's doing is in fact illegal. So that's kind of where we're at right now with this whole thing.
So, Chad, tell me a little bit more. I know Laser Pants had mentioned about you sharing, spreading the boosting the signal essentially. But you're a GI Joe guy. I'm sure you've interacted and heard about this. Tell us about your introduction to this story.
So, I was actually on the members only live stream with Ryan that Saturday night when the images first came to Ryan, and we were all talking about it, and everybody, I'm not a classified collector, right? I'm widely known in the GI Joe circles as the guy who always says like never go full classified. But I still thought it was cool. Ryan shared it. I shared what Ryan posted, and I kind of, amplified his signal, as did others. So I was with Ryan on that members only live stream that Saturday night. I was also with Ryan on the community live stream that got knocked down as well.
Right.
I was kind of right behind Ryan in this getting singled out thing. First, he was like going right at Ryan, and then he started coming at me, and then he was bouncing back and forth between the two of us with a couple other people in there too, like Chaz the Guru, a few people that we know who are not Instagram, like personalities, I would say Chaz the Guru is, or have YouTube channels like myself and Ryan. And he was just pegging everybody. Toward the end, Ryan and I, we just started, just talking in like text message, and, when we still had Instagram, we were just talking about, I wonder if he'll try to strike this. We almost turned it into a game. So I don't want to say we shot ourselves in the foot, but we knew that we were reaching that point where our Instagrams were going to get taken down no matter what. So you might as well have more ammunition, because we weren't posting anything that had any kind of imagery near a copyright, anything at all. And he just kept striking. You know, Ryan gave his total number, which is always good because it makes it quantifiable. And one thing, and I know Ryan generally brings it up, he does this thing where he blocks you and then he starts hitting you while you're blocked. And so he'll unblock you and then he'll strike you and then reblock you. And it's always really late at night.
Yeah.
So the hours that I keep, one night I was, making tea before bed, and I just happened to open my phone and I had 21 warnings and 19 removals. And
Jeez.
so in just a span of like 3 or 4 hours, he popped me 21 times. And
in the meantime, he's claiming I only spend like 5% of my time on my channel.
yeah, sure.
Right.
So it became this thing, Jeff, where he understands that he's known for taking people's content. And there was another channel that went to San Diego Comic-Con. We all know how expensive that is. If you even get in, we know how expensive it is. A channel went to San Diego Comic-Con to interview the G.I. Joe team from Hasbro. He took their entire interview, expanded it to where he cropped them out of it and their watermarks, and he put it on his channel.
Really?
Now that channel struck him and they won, but it's a pattern with this guy, and he does it all the time. So he's known for being the guy who swipes, which is why we call him Swiper Island, other people's stuff. And then when you call him out for it, the first thing he does is he blocks you. Then he starts striking whatever he can. And he doesn't report it for harassment because that doesn't give him immediate results. So he hits it with copyright strikes.
Yeah, the reports between, like, if you're reporting something for harassment or you're reporting something for copyright, they're actually totally different on Instagram and YouTube. Like, they're different ways to report.
Right.
So he's going straight to copyright, which, I mean, obviously it's a lie. And he's trying to get people's channels taken down. And he did get my video taken down. I'm still appealing it. I'm on the third appeal.
Yeah. And so what he's doing with that is he's silencing people, and he's trying to control narrative that I don't steal from Instagram pages or YouTube channels. I'm not, that guy. I'm not this. I'm being harassed, and I've gotten 67 harassing messages, and people are saying this, and they're threatening violence. And so guys like myself, Ryan, and others who this guy has come at, I mean, we have mountains of receipts. None of our stuff is on private. We don't have anybody blocked. We show the receipts. Like, if you want to see receipts, fine. We got them all day long.
Yep.
But this guy, he has this narrative, and as soon as you buck his narrative, he targets you. And once he targets you and he blocks you and starts striking you, there is literally nothing you can do when you get caught up in that. You're going to lose your Instagram. And the only way out of it then is to fight to get it back. Because by the time you put your first counterclaim in, he's already struck you so many times, you're gone.
And, you have to remember that the Meta and Instagram, they don't really care. You're never going to talk to a real person unless you have a massive following, right? And so he's kind of found the shortcut to remove people from the platform.
Mm-hmm.
And so far with no consequences to himself. Now, you can't do that on YouTube.
No.
Right? You can't false flag people on YouTube and get their channel deleted if you have nothing to back it up. Because eventually you will have to deal with a human at YouTube. And they'll be able to look and see, like, and then the situation reverses and the false flagger gets their channel penalized. So he doesn't dare try that on YouTube, but he did strike me once because he probably figured he could get away with it. Oh, and shout out to the Artist Shark who's in the chat.
Yeah.
He's also a victim of Viper Swiper Island.
Sure is.
Yeah.
Artist Shark, if you'd like to tell your story in the chat, I will put it up on screen so people can hear about what happened to you as well. Folks, I'm reading the chat very closely. Like I said, there's a lag on everything, but I'm here with you guys. I've seen this great swell of support that you guys have received across a lot of toy communities or a lot of toy channels that I follow. I've seen, because I follow you guys on all your socials. I follow Analog Toys, all these guys that have been talking about this stuff. So I'm just always so frustrated when people have to play dirty, because if you can build, building a platform is a big deal. It's hard work. It's not as fun as people would think, but it's definitely worth the time and the effort. And if you lose stuff, have it be under your own accord. It's really, really, really terrible when somebody tries to take it away from you for you going against what they like or what they think. Like, you don't control any narrative on the internet. You think you control a narrative. You think you might be as big as you want to be. No matter how many subscribers you have, there's a limit to what you're actually able to do with a YouTube channel. And it definitely stops when you try to control other people's lives. I think this is very disappointing overall. I love the toy community. I really wish that it was less cutthroat about this stuff. I like when people are fighting about Marvel Legends and Mafex or crap like that. But this is really like one of those things that turns people off from wanting to jump into this stuff. And I mean, like, create content about toys, because you're going to have the whales that are going to try to push everybody out. And folks, if you're out there, if you're a content creator, don't let this crap happen to you. If you have like similar stories, come to us. We'll tell your story too. Now, you have been reaching a lot of people so far. First off, you guys, I know Laser Pants, you mentioned that only having 6,000 subscribers. You guys have had a really good level of growth, and it's a good show, especially in the toy sphere. Toy content is not necessarily the most popular thing here on YouTube. So you guys definitely have a fun presence, and I just don't want anybody that's going to be less than honest to, get one over on anybody that's really putting in the time. Same with you, Chad. We've talked. I know exactly how you feel about your content, your Joes, all that stuff. I think it's important too, folks, because we face this pushback in a different way. Anybody that wants to be out there shilling for a product 100% of the time is always the one that you want to pay attention to. And somebody that has the balls to tell you, hey, if this one's good and this one's bad, they don't have as much on the line outside of integrity in their own brand and their name. And so when people present themselves a certain way online, it's important that other people don't make up shit about them. That's the eloquent way I was trying to say it. But so I'm seeing his numbers are going down. He's at 19.6. So he apparently, according to everybody in the chat, he had some kind of thing up that celebrated his 20K subscriber special. And now it's been taken down because of this interaction. Now, Mundane Matt, he definitely never recovered. I know you mentioned, we have our new Mundane Matt here. He never recovered from that. Do you think this is going to be a situation where this guy decides to change his ways and just kind of operate like up front because he's like, I can't get away with this shit now? Because he's got a following, so I guess people are going to stick with him. But you think he's going to change? You think this is going to be something that he doubles down on instead?
I think he'll double down. I think he's such a narcissist and a sociopath that he doesn't have the ability to back down and apologize and make things right. I just don't think he's that type of guy. I mean, he regularly has his child on his channel with him, right? And they talk about toys and whatever. The problem is he uses his kid as a defense mechanism. Like, hey, they're attacking me. They're attacking my kid. And for me and Chad and everyone we're involved with have always said, don't go after his kid. Leave the kid out of it, right?
Yeah. We're all dads.
Wrong. Yeah, we're all dads. So I think that's bullshit too. I don't think anyone's actually going after his kid, even though he claims that. He kind of uses his kid as a shield that way.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think he's going to change. And the whole point of this, people have said, oh, you've been harping on it for a week and a half. The whole point of that is because he's been trying to control the narrative by using false copyright strikes. So we're trying to take that back. We're trying to spread the word, get it out there. This is what this guy is doing. He's taking your content. He's making it look like his. When you speak up, he's striking you. He's trying to delete you from your own platform. And that's how you fight back against this, because it's really hard to talk to an actual human at YouTube or Instagram or other platforms. So all we can do is just keep putting that spotlight on it for a while.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I'll take off the professional hat for a minute. I've been laughing at the memes, by the way. Quentin, whoever draws the picture of this guy,
Quentin Bedwell. Quentin
Yeah,
Bedwell, excellent
I
artist.
think we're now Facebook friends because of association with the toy groups and stuff. And your logo that came up out of this, like the memes are great. If you're one of those people that knows what's going on, you guys can definitely handle your own. I think if anything, they're going to learn be more respectful. I think that's what's going to come out of this for you guys, at least. Like people are going to know, oh, these guys are legit. So I'm excited to see, what's next. I hope this helps boost you guys past 20K. Then you can have a big celebration and celebrate that too.
So
I hope so.
a couple things. One, I do agree with Ryan that he's probably going to double down because he tried to strike my video. And YouTube sent me an email saying that Viper Island put in a copyright strike on my video, and YouTube said it didn't violate copyright policies. They told him to pound sand. So he is trying. A lot of other channels have made videos. Analog Toys made a great one. Robert's Infinite Realms, Articulated Ninja, on and on and on. Ryan and I were both on with Ninja about the same thing. So I'm not saying he's gonna, right? Because I can't see the future, but I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to take theirs down as well, because it's bad PR for him. And the flip side, kind of going along with what you were talking about, Jeff, with Quentin Bedwell's awesome imagery and all the memes that we're all just blasting everywhere. Ryan and I have both seen some pretty good gains lately. Good. And the fact that I only talk about 1/18 scale, or 4-inch, 3 3/4 inch GI Joe, the modern stuff and the O-ring stuff, I don't talk about any of this new shiny stuff. So I kind of have a niche and I stay there. I try to always stay in my lane. I've never talked about Viper Island. I don't care about Viper Island. I don't care about classified stuff. That's just not my thing. But to get that bump because this guy can't stop pouring gasoline on the fire, I mean, he's going to keep going down, and we're going to keep, as soon as he tried to strike it and it went public that he tried to strike it, people were like, well, let me go watch this video. So it's just going to get worse.
It is the perfect example of the Streisand effect in full effect.
Yeah.
Because if he hadn't have struck me, if he hadn't have struck my Instagram, especially not my YouTube, this would have been a couple memes and I would have moved on.
Yep.
But he kept striking me, got my Instagram taken down, got one of my videos taken down. And so now it's like, well, it's on. And he's been paying the price. He's down, like we said, he's down 800 subscribers in 5 days. And that's because that's not just me and Chad, but that's other great channels in our space, like Retro Blasting.
Yeah.
Who is
Analog
here.
Toys,
Analog Toys, Articulated Ninja, Robert's Infinite Realms. I'm
sure I'm forgetting videos.
Someone. Huh?
And he's deleting videos.
He is deleting videos off his own channel. Yeah. So
I guess he's just getting what's coming to him, man. I mean, there's a lot of people out in the chat that have been saying it's about time, this and that. Retro Blasting. Yeah, I wonder what they're going to say about us too. Oh man, it features this. I don't even have a logo. I'll tell you this: I had way too much fun on this title cards. Folks, the one that's on this official video is the last one I made. I made 5 other ones. You guys have seen them. I just sent them to you for fun because, I only changed the middle one because the grown man in the diaper didn't look enough like a grown man in a diaper, so I made him have a beard. But those were a lot of fun.
Hey, you know what happened with that, man? You know what happened? People are like, "Is that Ryan in the beard? Is he wearing a diaper? Who is this?" I'm like, no. This is supposed to be Viper Island. You put the beard on him just so it didn't. No one confused it with his kid.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I just was like, well, because the thing is, I actually, YouTube is my job. I've been doing it. I do read all of this stuff. I have interacted with people. I know how the back end stuff works. And then when you upload, it tells you to make sure there's no AI generated content in a video unless you tell people about it. And it says, don't put children in it. And I never even anything. It could be a movie clip, I don't know, Robin Hood or something. Maybe there's a scene where kids are in. I'm just picking a movie off the top of my head. I'd even cut that out just to be away from that because YouTube is super and that's fine. You got to protect that kind of stuff. But I made sure that we're playing even by the rules of that to make sure we can have as much fun. So I'm really glad that people are out here supporting you guys. I mean, beyond me enjoying your content, I like what you guys stand for. And Ryan, we've streamed probably a dozen times over the years. We've hung out in person, we've met and stuff like that. There's not enough people that are super honest about toys and stuff. Even some of the channels that I've liked and watched more in the past, you find out that they even have a line where it's like, oh, you know, they got to talk about it this way to get their box of stuff. Yeah. And it's important for everyone to know out there that, you know, you can get that kind of honesty from collecting. Because remember, it is fun, folks. It's not about, you know, fighting over my action figure is better than yours. But, you know, some people just take it that way and ruin it for everybody. I'm just loving reading the chat myself. I'm sorry to jump to that.
That's fine.
A lot of awesome people out there tonight.
So one of the interesting things that's come of this is, you know, as you were saying, you know, the 3PO and Chad were kind of known within our world. We're kind of known as the haters, which I personally think is unfair. But you know, they call us the haters, right? And then they say that I call them shills. I really don't. I don't pay much attention to them. But it's not too dissimilar from the Last Jedi days, right? Where you had the people on one side that hated the movie, the people on the other side that loved the movie, and they were fighting back and forth. And you had, you know, the shills on one side, the haters on the other side. It's not too dissimilar from that right now within toy collecting on YouTube. Yeah. But those two sides have been coming together this past week and a half because of this Viper Island douchebag. So I mean, you see people like setting differences aside just to rag on Viper Island. It's been pretty cool.
Yeah, for the most part, there's always going to be those outliers, or, you know, the people they want to poke the bear, but then they want to turn around and say, well, I actually hate toy drama. It's like, well, then why are you, you know, putting your hat in this ring, kind of a thing. But there's still those people that say, oh, well, the bullies are finally getting bullied, boo-hoo. And it's like, nobody's bullying anybody. And this isn't even about bullying. It's about, like, you are abusing and weaponizing a copyright system so you can remove, basically, if you want to boil it down, he's removing any kind of competition. Like, he sees everybody else's competition, but then when he makes his videos, he, you know, all he does is brag. Oh, well, we're this and I'm that and blah, blah, blah. And everybody's washed up and over the hill and tired and they're gross because they take super chats from their subscribers. So it's just this whole weird mess of bullshit.
Yep.
It's every sphere on the internet that has its own niche. Comic books are way more cutthroat than I ever thought they would be.
Yeah.
Like, surprisingly cutthroat. I'm like, these are books about superheroes and fun shit. I thought we'd all be like, I have a great time drawing my stuff. I'm listening to music, coming up with ideas, laughing at my shit. I thought everyone else would have this much fun. It's like, you know, let the air out of your tires, cut your Achilles tendon, throw you down a hill or something type of shit. Toys are just as bad, man. I get a lot of people that don't like our Ollie's videos because of the reach they have, and people just, oh, you can't say that about Disney Star Wars toys. They're so great. Look at the box office. No, actually think about this kind of stuff. You know, toys are always a reflection of what's popular or what's not.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, people have said that in the comments on my videos, like, you guys are grown men fighting about toys. And the fact is, this is nothing about toys. Like, our channels are about toys, but this is about someone trying to take our channels down, trying to remove us from our platform. It doesn't matter what the topic of our channels is. That's what this person's trying to do. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I'm not going to stop swinging back.
Never.
You know?
I'm glad, I'm just happy to, you know, see all this positivity that's coming from this stuff. I love when differences get pushed aside. That's the real deal, villain. That's like, I feel like there's one other cause that a lot of people could come together against in the toy community, that's scalping. But other than that, like, there are very few things that bring everybody together, and those make me happy. So, yeah. What do you guys got next for the channel and everything going on with you guys? You said you had something on Saturday coming up, Laser Pants?
Yeah, well, tomorrow night I have a stream on my channel where me and Quentin, my comic book artist buddy, Quentin Bedwell, we're going to be talking about some new Marvel figures that are coming from not just Hasbro, but Mafex and some others. And then on Saturday, me and my friend Bobby Valla, who owns the Valaverse toy company, we're sitting down with Greg Brown from the DFW Joe Show, the convention in DFW. We're sitting down with him. We're talking about that. That's Saturday at 5 p.m. Pacific Coast time. And then, in between, I'm going to be shitting on Viper Island quite a bit.
Doesn't that go without saying?
I mean, there's going to be a lot of that on 3POA.
Yeah.
Since you're talking about toys, did you guys see that image of the new Mafex Rogue?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm a little torn. I'm worried because some of the import you haven't seen it?
It's not my jam. So
no. Oh, it's fine. When you're bringing up all this, you got to remember, I am like toy guy extreme like you guys are. Nobody in my life gets it. And the audience is very supportive, but they like certain types of toy talk. If I start talking about like brands and companies, they're just like, oh, I know who Rogue is from the X-Men. I'm just like, oh man, that face better be better than it looks because they're really slacking on their paint lately. And I'm like, Rogue better not suck because she's the woman I want on the team the most. So
I think the face sculpts look a little, they definitely slant towards the anime look, but I could also see that being like how a Jim Lee drawing would look in 3D.
Oh, I think they all do have the Jim Lee look. The like seeing them in person is way different than the pictures they send out. Like, you know how it is, but like this one looks so anemic compared to the other press shots. I feel like they're taking out the paint detail and cutting a corner. And I'm like really dreading if Rogue doesn't match the rest of the team's quality, what the hell am I buying the rest of the team for type of thing? Because these aren't cheap. They're $100 a pop. When I'm done with the team, it's going to be like a $1,200 team. Like they better all look good. So,
yeah, it's a big investment.
That's my USS flag. No, sir.
$1,200 for that thing, Chad?
No, I don't like to talk price, but
I know you
roughly
don't.
What a flag costs. Yeah, roughly.
Somebody used AI to make a USS flag bathtub.
Yes,
and I thought it was the coolest. I was like, dude, what is this? This is awesome. I thought, what would it be?
HasLab bathtub? Yeah, I saw that.
I'd have too much fun. It'd be like that scene in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. He goes over to what's his face, Francis's house. He's got a swimming pool as a bathtub essentially.
Yep.
If it was real, Chad, what would you pay for that? Doesn't have to be a HasLab. We're just talking like a cut rate price or cut out straight up price. What would you pay for that?
Like a USS flag bathtub?
Yeah, the exact thing you saw in that picture, installed in your house. Yeah.
If I had like $5,000 to burn, but
$5,000
for a bathtub, probably.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what a bathtub costs, Ryan. I'm not remodeling my house.
Okay, fine, whatever.
What about you?
We're haters,
man.
For a flag?
No, USS flag bathtub, the one that was the meme the other day. Have you seen that meme?
I think I'd want to go like USS flag hot tub. I'd want to go bigger. So $20,000.
All right,
20,000.
Now the question is like, what do you do with it? Like, are you guys gonna chill in your hot tub or bathtub and like play with GI Joes, or is it just more of a status thing?
Yeah, you take your toys in the tub, man.
Yeah, I'd be landing Sky Strikers on it and stuff. That would be happening. That would happen. Yeah.
My mom's one rule as a kid, like the big rule she had is like, when you go to the bathtub, no toys with any metal parts, so no screws or anything. So GI Joes would have been a no-go for me. I took Batman everywhere with me because he was all plastic. But I guess I'd pay, if I was gonna have this toy mansion for my USS flag bathroom, which I guess I'd have a GI Joe wing if I'm gonna put that much money into it. I'd pay a couple $1,000s for that. That'd be cool. I'd be like, everybody that comes over, come party in this GI Joe hot tub,
Yeah.
It's a jacuzzi.
Because that's not weird.
No, not at all.
Kaiju
Kitty, thank you for letting me know. Folks, we've been dealing with the YouTube notification problem for a long time, years at this point. They tell us, oh, it's no big deal. Everything's fine. Everything checks out. So yeah, even when you have this, this amount of subscribers, you still have to deal with a lot of crap. So hopefully this one works better because I want more people to hear about the stuff we're talking about here. Tonight's an important night. Believe me, folks. The stuff that went on that we talked about earlier is unacceptable. And so we're going to make sure. Oh, there's a cat. What kind of cat you have?
One that likes to walk on my keyboard.
Ah. Mine used to like to sit on my Xbox, like on the Series X, because the fan would blow up. I was like, no. When I moved, I took all this dander out of the thing. I'm surprised it didn't catch fire. So
I love her, but yeah, she has this thing about my keyboard. She either lies on it or walks right across it. So sorry about that.
Oh, dude, don't apologize, Caster. Look, I'm just glad I don't have any pets right now because of this collection. Because if I came in here and every day The Rock or James Bond or somebody had just been knocked off the shelf, I'd be pissed, you know?
The collection's looking good, man. You've really you've got a good setup there.
It looks really good.
Thank you. You know, the crazy part is I indexed my stuff. This is probably, I know this sounds crazy to say, I think this is under 20% of what I got. And I have like stuff that's off camera and tons of stuff in the closet. I have a whole wall of action figures here. Like I got the bug and I bought the Fantastic Four-Way from Hasbro. I never opened them. Now they're at Ollie's. I regret every purchase, but I have them hanging up and, you know, tons of cool shit. So I'm loving the collection these days. I've been watching you for a while, Laser Pants. I was like, damn it, dude. Like when I was living out in California, I was like, man, California is okay, I guess. But then I see your collection. I'm like, fuck, man, I got to up my game. So, you know, I have always thought the world of your guys' collection. So I'm finally doing what I want to do with it. I just need more space. So when I get a house next year, expect like a basement of toys, a toy store. I'll build a toy store in my basement and a movie theater. That's what I want out of life.
That's all you need.
Now this guy right here is a collector in the making. He's picked up a couple statues, a couple high-end figures, all sorts of stuff, man. Andrew, looking good, man.
Hey, man. Good to see you, gentlemen. Good to see you both. Hope you're doing fantastic this evening. Nice to meet you. Yeah, I mean, I'm a burgeoning collector. It's gonna be a hot minute before my walls look like any of y'all's, but I'm very picky. There's very rare instances where I'll just buy like everything in a set, usually in like the lower end stuff. And by lower end, I mean that, you know, you're like $20 to $40 range stuff, right? In terms of action figures. I mainly buy the McFarlane stuff just because he's been putting out the best DC figures in a long time. And he's the only person that's put out my favorite character. So who's Wally West. So I'm like, cool, you put out more Wally West figures in the last 2 years than were made in the last decade. Great. All right, I'll buy your stuff.
And
other
900 than Batman figures.
And 911,000 Batman figures, half of which use the same mold.
Oh, dude, that's why I don't buy many. I went through my storage and I saw my I've owned 3 McFarlane figures, Batman Beyond and from a movie, and maybe I just bought 2. I don't like his toys. Sorry. I don't want to turn this stream into like, I hate Todd toys. I
bought his Jean-Paul Valley Batman and I was like, I'm good.
I literally have a Todd toy of Todd.
You bought that?
I did.
That's amazing.
As soon as this went up, dude, I was like, I have to pre-order that. I had to pre-order the Todd McFarlane there. I got the Todd McFarlane. Looks cool.
That's pretty good impression.
Hold on a second.
Honestly. That's pretty good.
I got the Jack Kirby figure they released from Ninja Turtles.
Oh, he's great. I got him too.
The only Batman of his that I own is Batman Beyond, actually. Because I grew up watching watching the 90s animated series, but I also loved the crap out of Batman Beyond, so I had to
Batman Beyond underrated, in my opinion.
It's a great show.
It
was a fantastic
The Return of the Joker movie is not for little kids.
No. It is not at all for kids. It's about as much for kids as A Death in the Family was.
Andrew, it took another company and essentially the Ninja Turtles to finally let Jack Kirby get some love.
Wow.
So folks out there, I know there's a lot of toy collectors out there, so you're probably like either you know this story or you're just like, oh, that's just a guy from the Ninja Turtles. But old Jack Kirby is way more responsible for the MCU and Marvel in general than he gets credit for.
Yep.
And a lot of legal reasons why Stan Lee gets praised. I'm not an anti-Stan Lee guy. I love Stan Lee as much as everybody else. But I, as an artist as well as a writer, do feel that it's everyone's just due to get credit. And Jack Kirby gets some credit, but not enough credit. And a lot of those guys in the early Marvel days never got enough credit. And so Jack Kirby kind of got the shortest end of any stick, because without that guy, there's no Captain America, there's no Avengers, X-Men, Black Panther. Oh God, I'm drawing a blanket. Every character he created so many. But
created the new gods over at DC.
Yeah, over the DC's got the New Gods as well, but the guy never gets the credit he's deserved, and Marvel and DC both kind of screwed that up. But thankfully, Eastman and Laird included him as a Ninja Turtles character, and now he got his own action figure. And I couldn't buy this quick enough because I'm waiting for the John Romita action figure and the Gil Kane action figure and all those guys. That's something I'm passionate about. Make sure these guys get their credit. So that's a toy I was proud to buy. I saw that at Target. And I was like, I don't care that this is like $35 though. And I was like, oh God, for one action figure.
I bet that mold is not a $35 mold. I would bet folding money right now that is probably like a $18 figure otherwise.
NECA Ninja Turtles are pricey, dude. You talk about like
that's NECA?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. I remember when the NECA turtle figures were coming out, gosh, several years back. When I was still working at GameStop, and like people were just pre-ordering them so fast, collectors couldn't get them quick enough.
Ryan, did you see the price I paid for this bad boy?
$4.99.
This is super duper clearance. I've
seen those Ollie tags. We don't have Ollies here, but I've seen those Ollie tags.
This isn't Ollie's. This is another discount store.
Okay.
Ollie's, they're $10 at Ollie's. This is $5. So
wow.
I wanted a Hugh Grant action figure just because I wanted a Hugh Grant action figure.
Jeff always finding the deals.
I do. So anything big? What'd you guys think too? Chad, I'm sorry this isn't Joe related, but what'd you think of that laser pants? What do you think of that Iron Man, the Hulkbuster, the new one that they just announced today?
I saw that.
I'm digging it. I think it's good. Marvel Selects, they put out one probably 10 years ago now, and it was $25, right? And it looks slightly better because it has a much better paint. Marvel Select puts a little more love into their figures. Hasbro is more assembly line, get it out, large quantity type thing. But I think Hasbro aesthetically did a good job on it. Looks nice, but it's $60. It's big, but it's $60.
How big we talking?
It's like like 10 inches, 10 inches tall.
$60?
60?
They're plastic. Now I could be completely off base, but the plastic they've used for the last couple of Iron Mans have lacked color, and I wonder if they're just using like a new, cheaper plastic. Because that one they put out, the Mark was it 19 or 25, the 90s Iron Man that came out like 2 or 3 years ago. That thing was beautiful. But
they just put this one out. This is the newest one I've gotten. This is the Mark 20.
Okay, I'm thinking
metallic paint.
I love.
Did y'all see that recently announced Carnage that Legends is doing?
Oh, the movie Carnage. Yeah,
I had to triple take on that. That doesn't look like no damn Marvel Legends figure.
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, a lot of people don't like that movie. They don't like that version of Carnage, but I think
it was kind of meh. But the figure,
for what it is, it's a great looking figure.
Oh yeah, the figure looked fantastic.
Yeah,
but isn't it like a taller Marvel Legend? Didn't they say it was like 8 inches tall?
Yeah, he's a big guy. Yeah.
So I'm not used to Carnage being that size. Carnage is always like small Venom,
wiry,
more powerful, more deadly.
Yeah. I expect him to be somewhere in between Peter and Eddie when he's got the symbiote on, because like my Venom is always like the super hulked out, like crazy one, monster, like back in the 90s, early 2000s, like that's where my Venom lives in terms of his design, exaggerated big open mouth, all of that. But then Carnage should be, like you guys are saying, more wiry. He should be closer to human proportions. But not quite the same size as Peter. He should still be a little bit bigger.
Hey, Chad, do you have a preference of G.I. Joe artist?
I'm a big fan of John Royal.
Okay.
John Royal's a good artist.
Big fan of John Royal's G.I. Joe art.
He knows how to draw the ladies.
His action shots just look good. Yeah, he does know how to draw the ladies. That's for sure. Yeah, you throw Scarlet or CoverGirl or Baroness in front of John Royal, even Zorana, and I'm like, all right, okay, that's fine. I can get behind that. Yeah.
I saw a Baroness piece. Admittedly, I'm a complete normie when it comes to G.I. Joe, but I did see a Baroness piece by him maybe a couple of years back, and I was like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
John Royal does fantastic work.
yeah, he's got clean work. He's got really clean line work, and he's got a style that feels very similar to J. Scott Campbell's, but doesn't lean as much into the like classic Disney princess style that Campbell does, because that's Campbell's shtick, right? Like he leans into the classic Disney princess style mixed with like his actual wife. But there are other artists that have a very similar style, at least like in the faces. You can always tell in the faces where there's some Campbell influence,
right?
And Royal's where I see a lot of that.
One of the things that I really appreciate about John Royal is, if you follow him on socials, he's very praising of, the people that work with him. It's not just him like, oh yeah, look at my amazing cover art. He's like, well, this person did this and this person did that and this person did that. It's not just me. And so he always tries to lift them up as well. But, he's just an awesome guy, really approachable. And I say John Royal's the number one Joe artist, in my opinion. Just mine. But I am a hater. So.
You are.
I actually did a quick Google search of some of his covers. The one with was it Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow is legit. I'll show it later.
There's a Winter Baroness one, Jeff. You would love it. She's in like a white parka and she's got snow serpents with her, and just like the color palettes that he plays with, because they're almost all stark white with red, and then the bluish and the blacks behind them. It's a really good image.
I'm looking that up right now. With her holding the gun up towards her face?
If she's in a parka, yeah.
Yeah. Wait, no, that might be the wrong artist. Never mind. Let me look that up in a second. Are you excited? Is it Joe Transformers that's coming out in the future? You think that's gonna be a hit? So, we were talking about content and things like that, and for me, that's gonna be like my Rise of Skywalker. I'm like, ooh, I get to farm content from this. So, I try to say that I'm an optimistic person in general, but I always remember that Lorenzo Di Bonaventura is behind the scenes on all of these films, and he is just poison for Transformers and G.I. Joe. I do believe that if you can't get Joe right as a standalone thing, if you can't get that team right, if you can't get their dynamics correct, you make Duke a captain instead of a first sergeant, and on and on and on. How are G.I. Joe fans going to expect you to get G.I. Joe right, or at least do it well? I don't want to say good enough, because I'm not a fan of good enough, but how are you going to do G.I. Joe properly if you're going to water it down and hitch it to another IP? And Giant Talking Robots, they translate a little better than, daring, highly trained special mission force of like clandestine American operatives. Giant Talking Robots translates easier. I did like the way that Michael Kelly described G.I. Joe to that Noah Diaz character in Rise of the Beasts. I did appreciate that. But moving forward, I'm interested to find out, where is this going to go? Because if Rise of the Beast was 1995 and Bumblebee was a period piece in the late 80s, which I thought was a good move, what Joe are we falling into? Because it's pre-Rise of Cobra, it's pre-Snake Eyes, and Snake Eyes reset the whole G.I. Joe continuity anyway, and that bombed, right? That lost $80 million. And then when I saw the artist rendering of the logo that was shown, it was the Cobra logo, but instead of the Transformers logo inside of it, it was the Autobot symbol. So I don't know if that was a mistake. Yeah, Hal Jordan, I know I'm a nerd, man. That's cool. Whatever.
Let me ask you this, Chad.
So I don't know. I'm interested.
I've heard it a million times from Joe fans, like the best Joe movie is The Predator. Where do you fall on that?
Well, the best legitimate Joe movie is Resolute, which wasn't even a movie anyway. So Resolute's awesome. My favorite Joe movie that's not a Joe movie is Megaforce.
Right.
Because I love Megaforce. And
flying motorcycle?
Yeah, but Megaforce is a clandestine operation where people have to volunteer and then they either get like declared dead or deserters or something, and they're completely black ops. Their strongholds in a mountain, like the middle of Nevada. There's a lot of Joe parallels with Megaforce, but yeah, I'm a massive Megaforce fan. But Predator works, Delta Force works. A lot of those movies could work. The Expendables. Kirk Bazigian always says his favorite G.I. Joe movie is The Expendables, and I do like The Expendables. So.
I think I only saw the first one, but it was fun. It was exactly what I was looking for in that type of a movie. Just give me all of the old school like action heroes, have them kick a ton of ass,
and they're unapologetic.
Solid handled. Like that's literally it.
Sure.
I love Stallone and all those guys. Those were like day one for me every time. I should make more action movie content because I watch those more than anything else. But I kind of wish the Expendables didn't fall off the way it did. I didn't even see the fourth one. Like I just lost interest. They didn't have any of the big guys anymore. How was it?
Yeah, it's very Lee Christmas or Jason Statham. It's very Jason Statham heavy. So if you're down with Jason Statham, especially that character, you'd be okay with it.
Okay.
I like Jason Statham when he's in a cast where he's got like really good chemistry with the other actors.
Yeah, he didn't play off Barney Ross that much in the fourth movie, obviously, but
I like Jason Statham if he's fighting a prehistoric shark. That's
I did enjoy both Meg movies. No, I enjoyed both of them. The first one was way better, but I enjoyed them both just because I like dumb shark movies. It's kind of a thing for me.
The second one turns into like dumb shark ×2, and then there's the Kraken, and where did the dinosaurs freaking come from?
I was here for all of it. I was like, all right, let's just do it. I'm here for it.
Do you think they'll find Atlantis in the third one?
Oh gosh.
Bet.
Why the hell not?
I feel like you have to, right?
What else are you gonna do with it at this point?
Yeah.
So Jeff, V. Conley here was another person who was struck by Viper Island for like just sharing stuff that all of us were posting or posting his own stuff. But
yeah, I forgot to mention that he was striking our followers, our listeners,
our friends.
That's not cool. We have the same belief on the whole fan friend thing. Like you don't do that. So V. Connolly, I'm sorry you had to deal with that crap, but I'd like to thank you for joining us tonight. V. Connolly says, just finished some Star Wars dance choreography. All right, I'll bite. Which song were you dancing to? The culture of collectors have a stinky diaper to change.
Amen.
That's rough. The trash and flush down the rest.
Whoop.
Monty, Mython the Python says, can I get a whoop whoop for Chad V. Connolly, 13 Blue Serendipity, and I guess Laser Pants too.
Me too? Oh, thanks, Mython.
And
I should have been first, Mython. I should have been first.
Where's your glasses?
You guys have channels?
No.
Oh, I guess I'll subscribe to them if they do.
No, they don't. What? Who has one? Mython? Say it, Chad.
Yeah, I mean, he might at some point.
Well, he didn't tell me about it.
Take a screenshot so I know to be a subscriber early on. Mython the Python, thank you very much. Shrebbles08, here we are with the word of the day. The word of the day is P. Top P. G-I-O-E's pees himself. Hot P time machine. Ugh. Star P, the smell of pee. No. Too much pee. Like a good day to pee hard. Or pee hard. Or pee harder. Live for your pee. All the diehards work perfectly with pee. Yes.
Pee of fire.
That's a problem. You might want to get that one checked out.
Yeah. Why does it burn when I pee?
Live for your pee hard.
That means it's working. No, it really doesn't.
No. Why am I drawing a blank?
Pee Busters?
Pea Busters. Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Pea.
Lord of the Pea.
Honey, I peed the kids.
Honey, we peed ourselves.
Oh, there you go. Honey, we peed ourselves. There it is.
Yeah.
Yours was better. Yours was better.
I don't know, man. They're all pretty good titles. Honey, we blew up the pea. Dude, Honey, I Blew Up the Kid was a movie I hated as a kid. I don't know what it was, but I saw it. I just didn't like it. Then I saw the trailer not that long ago, and I went, "Oh, I still dislike it." Articulated Ninja Reviews. What is up? Oompa loompa doompity doo. I love 3POA. Tell me, do you? Thanks, Jeff, for bringing more awareness to the swiper. My pleasure. Both of these guys are two toy content creators that I like. They're my Facebook friends. They're my real life friends now. Not on my watch, essentially, what I was going to try to say. So I know Retro Blasting did a great job spreading the word, and you guys really hold your own. You know, you guys are whooping his ass alone.
Yeah,
so it's like you guys are doing it. So I'm just saying, I just wanted to be like, hey guys, check this story out.
You know, and people have asked me, like, hasn't this gone far enough? Haven't you haven't you heard him enough? I'm like, no, he tried to delete my YouTube channel.
Yeah, just wait.
No.
And that's the thing. So
you don't go after a man's income. You don't do that.
No.
It's all about
livelihood is off
integrity.
limits.
Yeah, it's about your integrity and your honesty and just doing shady, underhanded stuff. And I have to say that, this is going to sound sappy, but whatever, because I say it all the time. I'm not a person who, I don't know toy collectors who I'm friends with. I have friends who collect toys, and I have a very small circle of friends, and I like it like that, and I keep it like that. And I appreciate the fact that our friends, like Ryan can handle his own. I can handle my own. Analog Toys can definitely handle his own. Retro Blasting, right? Michael's been doing that forever, handling his own. All of us can handle our own. But we have friends, and all of us as friends, we're not putting up with that shit. And you see a lot of people in the toy community, and I freaking hate that word. I hate that word community because it's a lie. Everything on the internet is about consensus. It's not about community. It's about you got to like what I like, and if you don't, then you're my enemy or you're a hater, and that's why we're haters. But you see a lot of people in this toy community, and they're like, oh, well, you guys should give it a rest. Oh, it's been enough. Oh, well, you guys didn't do anything when so on and so forth got swiped.
It's super easy to talk like that when you're not involved and when it doesn't affect you.
Yeah. Yep. And that's my thing. It's like, well, how come you guys didn't get all up in arms when so on and so forth got swiped by Diaper Island? And I'm like, well, because these guys are my friends, and I don't, whatever. That's their deal. So if their friends didn't want to get in on it, then they're not their friends. So here we come. We're coming.
Dude, I'm like I said, I'm in all of the same groups as you guys.
Yeah,
I think that's how we met. Chad,
you're included in
Facebook
that,
first. Oh no, I'm just saying, but I've been watching this. I'm laughing. I've read everything that you guys have posted, every screenshot, every response from YouTube. And, it's been a very interesting journey. But our friend Trace XL has first off, thank you for the super chat, but he has some great advice too. He says, creators always archive your content offline. Nothing worse than some jerk attacking your channel and years of content being erased and you've no copy to re-upload. You work too hard, don't lose it.
Agree 100%. Invest in an external drive.
Yep.
I got them everywhere.
Right there. Yeah.
All my stuff
goes on my external.
I finally was able to use the Rumble account I made a year ago.
Nice.
Oh, gosh.
I love it.
I took the stream that he struck off of YouTube and I just uploaded it to Rumble, so it sits there.
There you go.
So if anyone wants to watch it, go to Rumble and search for 3POA.
We are on Rumble right now. So
cool.
Yeah. It's weird. I got my first check from Rumble. It was whatever, but hey, Rumble pays right away, folks. So if you're looking for a platform that will pay you quickly and you want to be an online content creator or whatever you want to call the phrase, a YouTuber, that's how I describe it. Just check that platform out. They will they'll pay you.
Yeah, I've had people tell me that I should either go over to or do both, and I was like,
stream. Yeah.
I was like you for the longest time. I'm like, oh, YouTube is fine. It's this, it's that. It's honestly the way I'm treating it, and this is not, me telling you how to operate. It's just I'm just spreading out as much as I can, because the internet has really changed post-pandemic to the point where like even talking to people the way you used to, it's changed, and you can't really reach it unless you kind of, I guess, play the game a little bit. So I use Rumble just because there's less competition, get like shit views, but you know, it is what it is. It's just more, I don't know, more land for you essentially.
I'll check it out. Yeah, I'll check it out. I don't have a Twitter, you know, because G.I. Joe on Twitter is like next to nothing. But yeah, I don't have a Twitter. I don't do gaming stuff, so I don't have a Twitch.
Yeah, Twitch is only good for like gaming or gaming adjacent content, or you know, if you're there's that too.
Oh, that. Okay, I was like waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm like, are you the creators of X-Men 97? Is the shoe going to drop now? Dude, did anyone here watch that besides me? Because don't.
I still haven't seen it.
I used to tell everyone X-Men 97, the new show.
Yeah,
every episode, at least twice.
I binged the whole thing, in like a day.
I watched it all the way through. I liked it until the last episode. Then I thought it was kind of a disappointment because it wanted to just sell you on cameos and crossovers and all of this crap. And I go, but what about like this, and this? You kind of, and they don't, I get it. You got to leave things open for a cliffhanger, but I just didn't like that last episode. Honestly, from like Asteroid M on, I thought the show kind of just not fell apart, but it just changed to the point where I'm like, I'm not emotionally invested anymore. So I don't know if I'll come back for.
Do you think the peak was like Gambit's death?
Oh
like
God,
episode?
yeah.
That was.
I felt like I was taking crazy pills because I made sure each and every Wednesday, like clockwork, we had a review out just to say we did the entire series. There have been shows that I'm like, this is terrible, and I gave up, but I want to change how I do everything on YouTube. So I committed every episode, and it that was great, man. I was like, I remember watching, I was like, holy shit, Gambit, because when he got stabbed, I was like, wait a second, I know how this is going to go. And then it turns pink in the energy. I was like, whoa. And then, you know, we all know what happened. Yeah. And I like that it had the drama that Rogue couldn't really say what she wanted and now lives with that guilt. Like that is what I'm looking for. Yeah. I was looking for that level of emotional depth, but more for a finale. That's all I was asking for. I don't care that, you know, it's this and action and, you know, more saying his feelings to Wolverine's dumb because you told everybody your show was not about that, and then it was at the like it that's such a small thing. It's not really a complaint. It's more of like I expected a lot out of it because it was so good to a point. So maybe that's me having high standards. Maybe I'm the crazy one, but
I think that's a totally fair assessment. I was also thinking that, you know, you mentioned all the cameos. I mean, we see Dr. Doom, we see Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I almost like if they can keep the quality up, and I have no confidence that they can, but if they could, and this was to lead to a larger animated MCU in this universe, that would be cool. But I think what they're trying to do is bring this team into the MCU. That's what it seems like to me.
Sorry.
I'm just saying, just because they've had that Professor X in Doctor Strange, they played the X-Men theme song. They said this is the X-Men from the animated series. And then you see Doctor Strange doing surgery in the cartoon, and he has the magic effects that look like they're from the MCU. There's just a lot of stuff in here that looks, they're trying to bring it closer to the MCU, including Black Panther as T'Chaka.
People are too sensitive about the Chadwick Boseman stuff. Like, I feel the same way. He was a good actor. He played the role well. He did nice stuff. He was seeing sick kids as he was sick. I got nothing but respect for the guy. But it's not above, like, it's not disrespectful to recast. And I have a problem with that part of the Marvel universe. But going off what you said, I would actually be more supportive of that, because while I've been burned by Marvel, like we all have, that version of the X-Men's never been done on film. And that, I feel like this, there are a few last things that can get everybody back on board with superhero movies. Obviously, they have to be good and have a good story, but I'm talking like those main event marquee events. And that version of the X-Men on screen with that team has never been done. You've seen flashes of Gambit, you've seen flashes of these characters, but they never
We've never seen Gambit on the big screen.
No.
Yeah, I'll ignore Taylor Kitsch. That guy's career fell off too. But
they've never had the balls to go.
Hasn't happened.
You didn't like that movie?
Dude, I have never seen such bad CGI. Okay, I get it. Everything ages differently. Like classic films like The Thing or Predator, they age like fine wine.
Well, The Thing was about all practical anyway. So
yes, but the thing is, those practical effects are great. The Wolverine, like the claws popping out, or like when that helicopter exploded, like it's like when you play a video game and you go from in-game footage to cutscene, and you're like, oh wow, those graphics changed. That's what that was for me. And I watched it maybe 3 months ago, and I went, holy shit, I thought this sucked 10 years ago. But
I'd rather watch Batman and Robin than that movie. I always use the Wolverine origin movie as my argument about Snake Eyes. Like, you should have learned the lesson when they tried to make an origin movie out of the most popular member of the X-Men, which is a team. Why are you making an origin movie out of the most popular Joe, which is a team? Like, just stop with the freaking origin films. You don't need it.
I agree.
It's just an attempt to like milk it. That's all it is.
Oh yeah, but I will say, since you guys did watch all of X-Men, I thought Wolverine's amount of screen time was good because I read the books. Wolverine is not the main event of the X-Men, the classic X-Men story.
He never was until
Justice League. Like, you guys, it's okay. Yeah,
I was happy with that because I love Wolverine. Don't get me wrong; he has more action figures on my shelves than any. No, The Rock. Sorry, there's like, I won't admit how many Rock figures are up there, but Wolverine, I have about maybe 12 of them. So I love Wolverine. All the costumes, all the versions, Mafex. I even got the Mondo Wolverine where he's in bed, with the little picture frame looking at Gene and Scott. Yeah. I was just cool. It's weird though, because I wish they would always treat the characters like that, where it's like, oh, this is the team dynamic. Let's just make sure the team is represented well. I love Cyclops. I think he's my favorite character, really. But I only like the one Jim Lee suit. So I like how Cyclops was presented as the team leader as well. Yeah. Because everyone thinks, oh, he sucks. He's a wet blanket. But it would suck to be the leader of the X-Men. So shouldn't he kind of suck? Like, he's not supposed to be this cool guy. So I like them. I liked him in the show a lot, actually.
Yeah, he did the leader role well in that show.
Do you think they'll be able to get a good live action version of each of these characters, or do you think everyone's going to be so married to Hugh Jackman Wolverine that if we don't have Hugh Jackman, people just won't buy Wolverine anymore?
My thing with Hugh Jackman is he was never. I know everyone loves him. He's a good actor. I liked him as Wolverine and Logan. He's never been my Wolverine. He's too tall. He's too handsome.
Wolverine's supposed to be short.
He's supposed to be Glenn Danzig, right? Yeah. I mean, we all know it. This is Glenn Danzig.
Dude, in high school, we all wanted Glenn Danzig to be Wolverine.
An in-shape Danny DeVito would be more accurate than Hugh Jackman.
That's weird.
You laugh, but that's not wrong. I am not wrong right now. And I say that growing up with Hugh Jackman in all the movies. And I enjoy his performance. But even as a kid, I was like, hey, Wolverine looks like cooler than he used to.
Is it weird that the first thing I thought was, why isn't he? I was like, why aren't his arms as hairy as they are in the comic books? Because like they would draw that like up on the shoulders and on his back,
everything.
And I'm just like, because really the answer is, folks, it's the era of The Matrix. The Matrix is the most impactful film of the 90s to then go on and influence everything for 20 years. Nothing was that impactful post it. Like really, Star Wars was the biggest movie of 1999, The Phantom Menace, but The Matrix was actually what Star Wars wanted it to be, or wanted to be, is impactful.
That's why all the X-Men ended up in black leather.
Yeah. I thought the joke
only their piping was different. Ooh, watch out.
It wasn't that cool, man. Spider-Man's suit was red and blue. I know it was like a metallic and it was like muted and stuff, but I thought that was a colorful costume. Mm-hmm. I may be, weird past my MCU prime, but their costume choices have been solid in the past to great. And still, like when I see most of the character suits, I'm like, the suit looks good. I mean, I like the show, but the suit's fine.
They nailed it with Captain America. They made Chris Evans' costume like it was utilitarian, right? Like every strap, every buckle, it had a reason, and they killed it with.
It felt like it made sense.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how this Deadpool and Wolverine is gonna I'm interested to see how that's going to work out.
Do you think they signed enough contracts to get him to come back? Because I feel like they know. Because
he's getting up there, man. Like
that's true, but you know what, man? They will drop the money to keep him around, and they will film shit quickly. I mean, he is to the character as Ryan Reynolds is the Deadpool, or Robert Downey Jr. is the Iron Man. Yeah. I'll never forget in college, my buddy Dustin and I were sitting on the steps in front of our dorm, going, what's a cooler character, Hugh Jackman Wolverine or Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man? And the first Iron Man was all it was out. Like this was when actually it was the build up to the Wolverine Origins movie, which sucked. It just sucks that I don't want to say it sucked that it's too late for him. It's like everything else around him, in my eyes, is slightly like better. And I always liked him as Wolverine.
I wish that we had gotten the opportunity to have, and this is so irrespective of Disney. Let's remove Disney from it for a second, that from the equation. It's really unfortunate we didn't get the opportunity to have prime Ryan Reynolds Deadpool and prime Hugh Jackman Wolverine in the MCU when the MCU was still mostly putting out bangers.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So now this movie is probably going to perform pretty darn well, though I don't know if that's going to really carry into any of the other projects that the MCU has coming down the pipeline, because they really don't have much that anybody can really get that excited for, if at all. Nope. However, I think worse than that for them is the fact that they don't get the opportunity to play in this universe that's actually thriving and is being propped up by just giants, right? When you had Chris Evans still as Cap, and you still had Hemsworth around. I guess Hemsworth, did he? I forget. Is he done?
No, he's the only one that's still.
Is he the only one? Yeah.
I get it that he's got a.
I'd walk after Thor 4.
That movie was terrible.
I would have been like, nope, yeet, I am washing my hands of this.
No, you wouldn't have, because the paycheck. And they all admit that the movie wasn't that great. But you guys, if okay, Chad, Ryan, if somebody says, hey, we need you to do this thing you hate, but we're paying you $35 million, I think you're going to show up no matter what. Like, you're like, oh, I got to act in this movie that I don't want to act in.
Money talks.
Sell out.
Everyone has a price.
I think that's going to be the MCU's Hail Mary, is that they're going to pay a lot of money to bring back Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. Yeah. And that's going to be their Hail Mary to save it, because it's over right now as far as any.
Well, I mean, look at Star Wars.
None of the films have made money.
They're bringing back Luke Skywalker for Star Wars. You know,
in digital form now. I wonder if Disney would come up with the money, like come off of the money, to then pay these actors to just like own the rights and make fake versions of them in the future. I don't want that world. Don't act like, I mean, and I say this for people out there watching, like AI sucks. But that, if they come back and they do the Hail Mary path and it pays off, and that is the one thing that they look at analytically and go, okay, these actors are what make the money. These characters are not. Like, you know, the other, the bullshit characters like your Ironheart. We know that they all have these like evolving contracts that they get paid more and more and more. I think these movies will become really expensive if they get them all back.
At this point, I don't think they could afford. Disney can't afford those guys.
But they can't afford not to have them. You cannot put out a movie.
Yeah, it's a catch-22, right? Yeah,
they can afford them more than they could afford the Marvels or Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Bro, that is over $400 million of losses. Those two movies alone. Come on, man. Robert Downey Jr.'s paycheck. I know it's like $80 million, but like that $80 million isn't guaranteed to make you $1 billion at the box office. So maybe just put it out there and don't put out crap.
Yeah, they bring back Robert Downey Jr. That's easily $1 billion movie.
He still looks good. You know,
yeah.
He's still.
They got the technology to make him look younger. They could bring back 30-year-old Robert Downey Jr. if they want.
They could.
He's like Harrison Ford, where they look better in like interviews and stuff where they're just themselves than in movies. Like, of course, Oppenheimer is wearing makeup to look older, but like Robert Downey Jr., when you see him in like on the red carpet, like, oh yeah, like put on the goatee, he's still Iron Man. Like he's not in Iron Man 2, not number 2, but T.O. He's lucky because Iron Man is, I know it's a role and I know he puts in the time and the effort, but like he doesn't have to do 90% of what Iron Man does because you can't do that physically. Right. So of course you're in that suit and you're doing your stuff, but you're being shot from here up for most of your job. Yeah. I'd say he's got it the best of any actor to ever play a superhero, because Like, it's rumored that Tobey Maguire's barely in the suit. We know when Michael Keaton's not in the suit, but like, there is no suit to wear for Iron Man. Like, at some point, you're just voicing a digital character.
Yeah,
like,
it's like, hey
come
man,
back.
just put on these green clothes and stand over there. Yeah, it's really all it is, you know.
And we love him because he was a good actor that brought a lot to the role.
And he's a real life Tony Stark.
He really is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
he already had his demon in a bottle arc.
He did, yeah. He had all the experiences. So.
God, I love a good comeback story though. Man, that's my favorite thing about Robert Downey Jr. Like, he did it. Like, he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna come back and do this and that a certain way. Like, I like that narrative isn't even a part of his story anymore. People don't even talk about that. Like, we're the assholes bringing it up, but like,
well, a lot of the people now don't even remember that, or they weren't even around.
But that's how it's supposed to be with a comeback. That's how it's supposed to be in anything. Like, the Robert Downey Jr. story is how people should treat it. It's like, oh, if you look into it, whatever. But then you're like, oh, but Iron Man's this shit? Like, you don't even know. I bet you most of the people that watch the movies have never even seen one of his old movies. They just know him as Iron Man. And I guess that's fine. But like, you're missing out if you haven't seen Weird Science or less.
Yeah, I was going to say
Weird Science.
Yeah.
I just busted out the 4K of that the other night.
Right? He's great in Back to School.
Yeah. So I love how he's just the like supporting. Like, you rarely see Robert Downey Jr. in movies. Like, obviously not anymore. He's a big deal. But I like seeing him when he's not the big deal, or like he's on that terrible season of SNL, like the worst season of SNL features Robert Downey Jr. Either way, though, I do.
Go ahead.
No, who else? What are you saying?
Him and Julia Louis-Dreyfus was in that horrible season. Yeah.
85.
Yeah.
I guess SNL is equally shitty nowadays, but people still talk about it. Like, that Scooby-Doo gets viral. So,
who even watches SNL anymore?
Oh, the only time I've watched it in the last like 10 years is when I was living out west on Peacock. They'd show it at 8:30 at night. So like, I would just be done with dinner or be eating dinner. And I'm like, all right, it's live now, and I got tons of time. Let's see what they're showing in the skit. So we'd watch it for a few minutes. But I shit you not, never watched a full episode. Couldn't get through it because it's not funny. Like, a couple of those people are good, but most of their cast is just, the 90s are gone. Like, that's their last great cast.
Yeah. The Phil Hartman days are over.
Where do you rank him as one of their best cast members? I put him in top 5. Like, I know Bill Murray is iconic. Bill Murray's great. I'm not going to dig on Bill Murray, but Phil Hartman is just as good as Bill Murray in different ways. Some would argue he's better because I think he's got a much better voice. So
I like Belushi and Murphy better than Bill Murray in Saturday Night Live.
But there's an Eddie Murphy shelf right here. So Eddie Murphy's my favorite.
I know about you and Eddie Murphy. Yeah. I just think that whole cast where you had Phil Hartman, Adam Sandler, David Spade, Chris Farley, just all those guys, Norm Macdonald, and Kevin
Nealon.
Yeah, Kevin Nealon. Just the way they all worked. The skits, Rob Schneider, making the coffee, like just all the stuff that they did throughout those years. It worked so well.
Most of that cast was fired too.
Yep.
Like, they did not know what they had for some reason. Like, maybe ratings were low, but people looking back on those seasons, that was definitely some of their best.
Yeah.
Still to this day, they would show those reruns in the early 2000s on Comedy Central.
Yep.
I spent my summers between between 6th and 7th grade. I could watch SNL reruns for hours because they were just from the 90s. I couldn't get enough of that shit, man. Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer and all that stuff.
I'm just a caveman.
Is there an action figure yet of that? Because I'd buy it. In a heartbeat.
They did the Chris Rock one where he was the angry black guy with the afro.
Yeah, and I think they did Goat Boy in Samurai, because there's late 90s, early 2000s. They come in a purple box.
Yeah, it was late 90s. I still have that Chris Rock. That's the only one I have.
I wanted Wayne and Garth. Wayne and Garth is one of those bucket list, not bucket list, pie in the sky dream projects. I want Wayne and Garth as figures. I would spend $100 on each one. That's my price point. So make it happen, internet. What's your one piece out there that you're dying for? Doesn't have to be based on something in your collection, just something random that you're man, I wish they'd make this.
Well, I tell you exactly what it is. And what sucks is that Super 7 is making it right now. And I hate Super 7 and I hate their product, so I'm not buying it. But it's the Beastie Boys. Hands down, my favorite band of all time. I love the Beastie Boys. They used to make themselves into action figures for their music videos. So yeah, I've always wanted a set of Beastie Boys action figures. And of course, Super 7's like kind of the first one to ever make them. And I don't want those. They're not good. So
I don't like my. Oh, I didn't tell you this. When I went to put up my Super 7 Goldar from Power Rangers, out of the box, it broke. There's like a little peg you pop out to put in the wing. It snapped and I can't get it out. And I went, well, I'm glad I didn't pay full price, but I will never buy another one of their ultimate toys again. Like I paid full price for the Megazord and it's beautiful and it's a good piece, but it shouldn't break out of the. It's a boutique toy. There's no excuse, man.
Right,
Exactly.
right. Yeah, that
if you're charging those luxury prices, it better have luxury quality.
Yep.
Are you okay? I know you said you wish it wasn't Super 7, but if you were making Beastie Boys figures, would you pick the sabotage video like they did? Is that
Yeah. I like. I mean, they have several different costumes in that video. I do like that. I like their classic 80s Fight for Your Right.
Yep.
But I think I'd want to go a little more modern. And even though this is technically retro now, the Hello Nasty video, Intergalactic.
I was going to bring that one up. That's the one I want.
Yeah, the scientist suits I like that a lot.
I remember when that video dropped on MTV, like when they would do like, oh, it's a brand new video. And I was like, all right, I know the Beastie Boys. Let's hear it. And that song is awesome. Still to this day, I listen to it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you like Beastie Boys. I'm surprised we didn't talk about that in person.
That song was the best part of that horrible Star Trek movie.
Yeah. Did you see
which is weird because in the song they reference Dr. Spock, and it's like, you can't just put that in a Star Trek movie. That's I don't know, but
slid it in there.
Now, okay, I know this sounds super nerdy, but that's the kind of like, I guess it's an anachronism. That's the kind of stuff I hate when they're trying to be cutesy. It's like, but the thing you talk about, it kind of ruins the it's how Star Wars sequels are to me. It's where the characters that are in the film have like seen the movie, so they know the events like we, the audience, would, and they re-relay them to the people who've never seen the movie. And I go, that is not good storytelling because that is obvious. Like if you're going to weave that in there, you got to weave that exposition in there beautifully. So, random complaints. Sorry.
I mean, there's a lot more wrong with the sequel trilogy than just that. Yeah, I mean,
buddy, I have talked about them for years, and people still want to talk about them. If you were to put them on, I would walk out of the room. I can't look at those. The music sucks. The sound effects, everything.
So I was deployed most of 2019 and all of 2020. So I missed all the crazy at home and the pandemic and the fighting over chicken and toilet paper and all that stuff. I missed all that.
Lucky you.
We did have one of our soldiers go to Kuwait, and he came back with a, high seas version of Rise of Skywalker.
A Pakistani Rise of Skywalker.
It was Christmas, and we were all sitting around in our little talk, which is a tactical operations center. And so we just put it on. And I don't remember how far in it was. I was like, nope, I'm leaving. And I just got up and left. And I'm deployed in a third world country. And I got up and left, man.
You were like, I am in the asshole of the world, and I still have better things to do than watch this movie.
I am stuck in the middle of BF East Africa, which was legit. And I was like, no, I am leaving. And I just left.
That is
You made the right choice.
incredibly sad. How sad is that?
So bad. Yep.
But
so
guys, Rey is a
Skywalker. No war. Nope.
Man.
Somehow Palpatine returned. God, that movie's. I just love
somehow that line got approved in the script.
I just love that like everybody got on board with these movies sucking eventually. Because back in 2015, when it was like, oh, The Force Awakens is great. And
that was me. I was that asshole.
That's okay. I forgive you.
But trust me, I've like looking back, after Last Jedi, I kind of saw everything for what it was. Like they don't know what the hell they're doing.
You see everything in hindsight. All of a sudden, it paints a different picture.
Absolutely. And then episode 9, I've seen it once, and I try to forget it. It's bad. It's really bad.
Yeah, if I have to watch one though, like if you're like Star Wars sequels or Indiana Jones 5, I might pick a Star Wars sequel. Like if like gun to your head, you got to watch one or the other.
I'll rewatch Force Awakens before I watch Indy 5, only because it's like moderately tolerable until you realize that nothing that they're setting up actually pays off, and they don't do anything with any of the characters.
I refuse to see it. I haven't seen Indy 5, but I have seen Retro Blasting's
awesome 4-hour video.
His 4-hour review. Yeah. It was awesome. Like his review was awesome. I refuse to watch the movie.
I saw Michael's video before the ma'am said we're going to watch this movie, and I was like, well, I guess I'm stuck here. And yeah, he was spot on. But I did see Indy 5. Yeah.
Indy 5 was so bad. So I'm out of town. This is last year.
Were you in Africa though?
No.
I wasn't that far out of town.
I think I was at PowerCon, and my family's at home. They go to a friend's house for an outdoor movie night, inflatable screen, right? The whole thing. And they're going to put on Indiana Jones 5. Bunch of kids there, my kids' age. I guess they made it a half hour into the movie, and they all kind of gave up on it. They just kind of spread out and did other
stuff, right? Like right after the deepfake stuff, people are like, I gotta go. I gotta
go walk the cat. See ya.
That story warms my heart because all of our favorite characters from Lucasfilm have just shit the bed.
Even Willow. They even ruined Willow.
That's gone, right? They had to delete that for reason.
I never even got to like even remotely get curious to the point where I tried to watch an episode, and then someone told me like, yeah, no, they shit canned the whole thing, and I was like, oh, well, there you go. What about the Acolyte, Jeff? Where you at on that?
Well, as the epitome of pop culture here on YouTube, WCBS will review the show. We will be with you each and every week along the way. Yes, if this is an interest level, my interest is down here off camera. I don't give a damn about this show. Because
you're going to be like Clockwork Orange. Stop it.
Yeah, here's what I'm going to be. This is how I'm going to get through the show, man. Because if it's going to drop at 3 a.m., I'm not going to stay up for that shit. But I will get up the next morning. I will have my Back to the Future mug full of coffee because it holds almost a full French press because it's a big-ass mug. I'll have my notebook, and I'll have my pen, and I'll be drinking it, and I'll go, because this is how I review my shows. I'll do a plus or a minus, and then I'll write the show, like what happened, like plus. Wolverine's claws get ripped out of his body from Magneto. That's a positive, and then I'll do it for my review. I don't expect there to be a lot of positives because I know Star Wars too well, but I can always take my personal biases out of anything that I review for the channel, and I will go in with an open mind, and if I like something, I will admit that I like it. I am not ashamed. I can even go back and say, like, I don't like the Justice League movie, but I don't hate, like, if it's on television, I'm not leaving the room if it's on. I'm not going to sit and watch the movie, but if somebody's watching, I'm like, okay, and then I would look at my phone or be, whatever. So there's shit about that. But what I dislike about this show, one, is I follow all the trades. So first off, there's no war in Star Wars. Okay. Then I really don't have any emotional attachment to the characters of the leads. I tried to look into the High Republic. If I'm making a video on something, I got to do the research. I got to be able to form an opinion based on the knowledge that I've acquired. The High Republic is not my Star Wars. It is not your Star Wars based on sales either. This is a show for nobody.
It's nobody's Star Wars.
It's nobody's Star Wars. And Star Wars is very much a 3-generational brand at this point. And in reality, it's a 2-generational brand. It's the original and the prequels. Prequels are old enough now. They're 25 years. Check out our video dropping this week on it. It's just taking a long time to edit, folks. But there's a clear distinction. But both audiences are very much against that third new era of Star Wars. The Disney, even if you don't call it the Disney era, just the Disney created era. And the High Republic is just waiting to fall on its face. Of course, there's going to be metrics. It's the most watched Star Wars show released on a Tuesday in the month of June while the moon is full. Like, of course, you're going to get those type of analytics coming out.
That's how they do it now. That's how they do it now.
Like, the thing is, like, It is just a group of monkeys, and they fling crap at a board, and it goes, "Oh, we're going to put these words together." That's all
Dinosaurs.
Disney Star Wars marketing.
Dinosaurs. Unbelievable.
I expect this show to have less defenders than the previous Star Wars series because there's no emotional attachment. Everybody, we love our toy collections, but the toys we collect, we have emotional attachments to. We don't buy crap we hate. Star Wars will get defenders if there's people to love it. I highly doubt that over the last 2 years, let's just say 3 in case I'm off, but over the last 3 years, I doubt that enough people out there in the world grew an emotional attachment to the Star Wars characters or this universe created for the High Republic that they will give a damn and watch it. So expect a bunch of people to shit on the show and no one to defend it, and it's just going to be like, that scene in Office Space where they beat up the printer. It's justified. We got Michael Bolton, Samir, and hey, Peter. And we're going to whoop its ass. Sorry, I'm excited to watch this show.
To your point, it's funny because I remember there being fairly few, at least from what I'd seen, defenders of the Ahsoka show. And that was a character that actually had a following. That was a character whom a lot of people grew up really loving because they grew up watching the Clone Wars animated series, right? And so you would think there would at least be a pretty strong number of people that would have tried defending that show on its face just for no other reason than they love that character. And obviously people are emotional creatures. They can't separate and detach like, hey, I love this character. That character is in this show. Okay, yeah, but that show's dog water. So you could still love that character, but the show sucked. It's entirely fine to admit that. You just because you're an Ahsoka fan doesn't mean you have to love that Disney Plus series. In fact, I would argue if you're an Ahsoka fan, you should probably hate that series.
Well, and they turned it into Rebels anyway.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And that HasLab went crazy. That Ghost HasLab thing, that not broke records, but that met its numbers quickly. There was never a point where people were like, is it going to pass?
Oh, yeah.
There's
Chad, they turned it into bad Rebels. It wasn't Rebels was decent. My kid loves Rebels. That was his Star Wars. Ahsoka was just bad.
I only liked a couple parts in Rebels where they find Rex and the Vader stuff where he just comes in and smacks everybody around and that's it.
Yeah.
I saw an episode. I started to watch it when it was new, and I saw them spin on lightsabers and fly away. And I went, nope. And I just never watched it ever again.
It's so bad, dude.
I'm not.
I'm like, when they brought in the Inquisitors into the stupid ass Obi-Wan show, I'm like, why don't you guys have some balls and have the Inquisitors fly around with their flying lightsabers? Just do it. You put it in the cartoon.
Lean all the way into it.
Just lean it. Just go full on dumb. Just do stupid. Go ahead.
Then I might respect it because at least they're going for it. And if you can laugh at it and enjoy it, whatever. It is what it is.
I mean, they put the freaking Power Ranger kids on scooters in that.
Oh,
dude,
man.
Boba Fett show.
Boba Fett, yeah.
That might be the worst show they've ever made. I know
that show is so bad.
Dude, it's so bad that only half of it is about Boba Fett, and they're like, well, let's just do some Mandalorian episodes at the end because nobody just likes that show.
It has 2 redeemable episodes, both of which have piss all to do with Boba Fett.
Right?
Dude, you're 100%
get that
and those 2 episodes with the Mandalorian were better than the next season of Mandalorian that came after that. It's like they keep shooting themselves in the foot. It's like you can't do anything right. It pissed me off because those 2 episodes got me excited for season 3 of The Mandalorian. And then I watched season 3 of The Mandalorian. I was like, it would have some moments where I was like, oh, this is cool. And then they would just waste so much time. And I'm like, so we have a 50-minute episode here. And we spend 5 of those minutes with Mando doing cool shit. And the rest of it, I guess we're sitting on our hands.
Are you telling me you don't like Jack Black and Lizzo in Star Wars?
Whoa now. You're going to cross some lines.
I don't like Jack Black and Lizzo in Star Wars. They can piss the hell off of Star Wars.
No, the member berries are too much. It's all too much. Yeah. Luke Skywalker in the season finale of season 2 made sense because that it ended the Grogu, arc and that chapter.
So we thought.
Right, but at the time it was powerful because we didn't see grumpy old quitter hermit Luke. We saw, badass post Jedi Luke.
Mm-hmm.
But then all these other member berries, they're just too much. They're all too much like, hey, kids, remember Hayden Christensen?
Right.
He's in Obi-Wan.
The saddest part about it, and the reason why, because I'm a fan of nostalgia. I'm a fan of showing me things I already love. And if you do it well, then I'm just going to continue to love it and love it more. And it's going to elevate the thing that you're trying to sell me on, right? However, if you do it incorrectly and you end up thereby crapping on the thing that I already love to where you really didn't have to do that much work with. Like the template was there, just copy paste. Okay. You're going to not only piss me off because you're doing dirty something that I already love and have adoration for, but you're also going to get me annoyed at whatever the hell it is that you're trying to sell me on. And so, yes, to your point with the Luke scene at the end of season 2, I was like, all right, well, this is certainly a lot better than whatever the hell y'all were doing in The Last Jedi. Fair. Okay, fine. Yeah, I'll take this over that. That's fine. But the problem is these member berries and the nostalgia when it comes to these franchises now are being used as filler. They're being used as placeholders for writing. They're like, oh, well, we don't know what the hell to do here. So, I feel like I've heard of this guy that did a thing sometime somewhere in a galaxy far, far away. Let's put him in here and have him do something
in that Rogue One movie.
Right. It's like, hey, I looked up said character on Wikipedia, saw something that they did or a line that they said, oh, cool, let's just take that and have them say it or do it for a split second in this thing that we're trying to sell people on and call it handled.
Shows are just written by Chat GPT and it goes, give me the broad strokes of Star Wars.
Right?
Write me a story about no, stop.
Like you didn't get past the first paragraph of the fandom wiki. Like that's how weak of a job you did.
Ryan, by the way, when I was going to take care of something, I did count those rock figures on my shelf. Those aren't all of them, but there's 50 over there, and I got way more.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You and rock figures is like me and the Cobra Hiss from G.I. Joe.
But to be fair, there are 50 different rock figures. I don't have repeats that I counted. I mean, that also counts my childhood toys that are above it. So it's like, bought all these new ones. There's even a Funko Pop of the Rock in this closet. I'm embarrassed. So
I mean, I probably have over 50 Spider-Man figures. So,
oh shit, I probably have more Spideys.
Yeah.
So I can't get my shelving 100%. This has to sit on the floor behind me at all times. So Spidey's always close by.
Mine's right there next to Optimus Prime.
That's cool.
You see that?
Oh, okay.
Mine's I got nowhere because I don't collect Spider-Man.
You
loser. I'm going to send you a Spider-Man.
That's rude.
Oh, yeah.
Chad, I'm sending you a Spider-Man. You're going to put it on your damn shelf right behind you. Okay.
I would too. I would. So that's kind of low of you because if you sent me a Spider-Man, I'd be like,
Spider-Man. Do you have what I'm working on? Because I got the figure when I meet him. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but when I meet Sergeant Slaughter, I think I'm going to get him to sign my G.I. Joe figure before I would a wrestling figure. So. That'll be prominently featured, folks, in the future. I'm going to track down old Sarge at one of these shows and be like, hey.
He goes to a lot of them.
Yeah. I follow him and his daughter's my Facebook friend and stuff. Kelly, yeah. Anybody that's a pro wrestler, I'm cool with. But if you're like a former world champion, you're like super cool in my book. And, I respect all those old school dudes. They're the best ones. They're the ones that really made wrestling what it is. So,
and Sarge, he was the best brand ambassador that G.I. Joe could have ever hoped for. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the stuff that he's been doing for decades, right? It's not associated with Hasbro. He just does it because he loves his fans. He loves G.I. Joe fans. He loves the wrestling fans, but he's always that character of Sergeant Slaughter. Like he eats it up. He's
even very, at the bar.
He's very appreciative. Paul, his handler, is always trying to reel him back in. But yeah, Sarge is super appreciative. The last time I saw Sarge, and I saw him like 3 times in a row, and they were all like a month apart. But when Ryan and I were at Joe Fest last year in Augusta, Georgia, I brought him the issue of G.I. Joe of the Larry Hama Marvel comics.
Mm-hmm.
The first appearance of Sergeant Slaughter, and I just asked him to sign it. And
cool.
He's so good that he reaches down on his table, he signs the cover with a silver Sharpie because he knows that silver is going to look best on the cover. Then he puts the silver one down, picks up his black Sharpie, immediately thumbs because he knows what page his very first appearance is on. Thumbs to that page, opens it, signs that page. There you go.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Super
That
awesome
is freaking
guy.
amazing.
He's so friggin' cool.
Yeah, I definitely gotta find out when he's gonna be close by because I'll definitely get that autograph. Ooh, I'm trying to think.
I got respect for somebody like that who has that much respect and admiration for their fans.
Yeah,
that's what we always talk about, though, man. Because it's like people. That's what people want out of the experience, like you like someone that's genuine, that's into it. I'm sure you were geeking out over that because I would be too, but he knows and he picks up on it and he like carries that mantle so well. So that's cool that, we got people out there that do that kind of stuff. We need more of that. I would love to see other people kind of get it because, is it too, I don't think it's too much to ask because somebody like Sergeant Slaughter's out there doing it. So they can do it too.
And that's something that I've always, I am biased, right? Because I'm a Joe guy, right? But so many people associated with G.I. Joe are just genuine people. Like Kirk Bazigian, the guy, like he's the maestro of G.I. Joe. Like Blueprints was Kirk, Flag Points was Kirk, all this stuff, like getting Larry Hama to do file cards was Kirk. All that stuff was Kirk Bazigian because Bob Purpose told him, like, just run with it, like make it unique. And Kirk Bazigian, like he set that whole standard. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. He's not pompous. He's not full of himself. He's super genuine guy. You sit down with Larry Hama. Every time I've ever talked to Larry Hama, we talk about our time in the military. We don't really talk about G.I. Joe that much. Mm-hmm. And he's known for being like abrasive or difficult, but I just talk to him about the service and I just leave it at that. But a lot of rad guys.
I had heard that about him, but I like the art side of it. So I would just be like, oh yeah, I've learned a lot from your style or something like that.
Absolutely.
Because I know this sounds like a weird thing to like old man yelling at cloud thing to say, but like that era of art still comes from when they studied how to draw. Nowadays they study how to draw from other drawings. It was, there was a foundation to it. And that's what a lot of people are missing. It's not about a computer that's the problem because you can really get great artwork done with an iPad and pencils and all that stuff. It's about the artist. But I think that's the touch that we always talk about movies lacking and other things lacking. It's a copy of a copy. And that's where we're kind of operating when we talk about G.I. Joe and stuff that's going to come out because really all you're going to do is copy something that's been done before and just kind of create a modern version of something that isn't going to resonate. And I like G.I. Joe. I won't say I'm this diehard fan. I have watched a lot of the cartoon. I've seen every PSA and the parody version of it because in college we used to get drunk and watch that shit constantly. I love that shit. But I like that G.I. Joe is this property that, and I can't say like Transformers because that doesn't do it, but it keeps its identity of its like certain era, that 1980s flair, that coolness with G.I. Joe. It doesn't really feel like it ever has to change. Like even when they make more updated stuff, and I'm talking like based on the cartoons, it still captures that feel of G.I. Joe. I don't feel like there's multiple G.I. Joes. I know there's the Hasbro toy line from Hasbro from the original era, the dolls, and then there's 60s, the real American stuff. Yeah. And I know that's the dichotomy, but like people don't get nostalgic for that G.I. Joe. You hear Kung Fu Grip as a pop culture reference, and that's about it. Everybody's into the the real American hero, Destro, and all that stuff.
It's the same thing as the Jim Lee X-Men. Like everybody wants to see, like, I want that Cyclops. I want the blue. I want the yellow. I want the boop, and the visor. And like, that's the Cyclops that everybody wants. It's the same thing with Snake Eyes. Everybody wants version 2 Night Visor. He's not a freaking ninja. He's a commando. I want that version of Snake Eyes with, with Timber the Wolf and the freaking sword and all the Arashikage, stuff. Mm-hmm. I have this issue with nostalgia, which is weird, as I said, amongst all these toys, but I don't buy this stuff for nostalgia. I buy it as history because to me, nostalgia would be what Classified is doing is nostalgia bait. It's like, hey, kids, you remember the Cobra Flight Pod, also known as the Trouble Bubble? Well, here's one. So that doesn't do anything for me because, oh man, Hasbro's putting out a vamp, and I'm like, great, I got 9 vamps. What do I care? So it's kind of lost on me. I don't dog other people for liking it. I always just say, hey, that's cool, because saying hey, that's cool is free. Like, hey man, that's cool. Like, if you dig it, right on. But it's not for me.
I agree with that, and I agree with that. See, I dislike nostalgia in the way that it's used as the thing that makes whatever exists like justified.
Yeah, because there's a psychology associated with it.
Yes, and that I don't like that we're living there, because I feel like I'm never getting away from my childhood, because now people are nostalgic for the shit that was out when I was a kid. The problem is nothing really new has been created over the last few years, and we've gone back. So we're in a loop, and it's just going to be kind of the same shit recycled for a long time. That's why I kind of look at nostalgia as this evil thing. You talk about collecting as like a history thing. A lot of my stuff is kind of like a time machine, because I can literally point to anything on here and tell you where I got it or who gave it to me. And I can probably tell you the price that it was. And maybe if I have looked it up recently, I'll still remember, like, oh, this one's still worth blah, like that kind of stuff. But I can't. My only thing is, I don't think it's nostalgia in one way. Maybe it is. I could be lying to myself or wrong, but I'm always looking for an updated version to get the best possible thing, because when I was a kid, like, the Power Rangers didn't look good enough. They had that stupid thing on the chest. The bodies were all the same. Like, so then I wanted the best upgrade, and then they'll make another one in a different format. And so I know they're selling me on nostalgia because I like Power Rangers, but also too, I just want what was supposed to be on screen. That's why I'm a 4K collector. It's not that I want to have the newest, brightest toy. This is what they were trying to make on film. Yeah. A videotape is not what they were trying to make. And you talk about nostalgia, that angers me when people are nostalgic for stupid things, because then they come back out and they crowd an already crowded marketplace, and they're being sold for nostalgia's sake, but they're inferior to everything that is out today. I don't care if you watched the Ninja Turtles on tape. I watched Home Alone on tape. I watched Power Rangers on tape. Dumb and Dumber. I could tell you every trailer from the Dumb and Dumber.
I burned out the original Jurassic Park and Lost World VHSs.
But you know what? You're not going, oh man, I gotta watch it on videotape to get that feeling.
Hell no, I'm gonna watch them in 4K on my 55-inch 4K TV, because I'm an intelligent human being.
Yeah, when I saw Back to the Future on 4K for the first time, I went, holy shit, it's like seeing the movie for the first time.
Yep.
That to me is liking something and wanting that. But being nostalgic is like bringing back the cassette. God, they sucked. Like, nobody will say it right now. Oh, Jeff, really? No. Did you have one where you had to fucking use a pen to rewind it if it came loose? Did you have one with, oh man, the thing ate your machine,
have to do that.
Your tape? Like, people don't realize, like, oh man, I'm nostalgic for this and that from the 90s. No, we have it better now. And
no, you don't remember how much of a pain in the ass it was. That's why you're saying that.
Yeah, you know what you're going to be nostalgic for next? Dial-up internet. No, you won't be. You want fast internet. Just evolve everything else. Like,
I'm going to use that as a comeback next time somebody says they miss VHS or miss.
I knew you were going to respond to that, Ryan.
Sorry, my internet cut out. What's up?
Jeff, you're aware that Ryan's never seen Ghostbusters, right?
He knows. Everyone knows.
I do.
Okay.
That's okay.
And I'll fight everyone.
If you happen to watch it at a convention that I will be frequent, put it like this: if you happen to be watching it at a convention and it's kind of close, I would drive to be there to just sit and watch you watch Ghostbusters. And I know you'll go, "Oh, it's pretty good," and that'll be your response. I know it, but
at this point, it's more fun that I haven't seen it.
Okay, I was like you though,
maintaining the bit.
Right.
When I saw you up in at Emerald City Comic Con, I had never seen E.T., and I had made it a point to never watch E.T., but my friend that I was visiting, it's one of her favorite movies, and she's like, you got to watch E.T., and she's like, I'll watch whatever you tell me to watch. And so I think I gave her, like, Return to the Living Dead, my favorite zombie movie, and she gave me that. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll watch E.T. And I watched it, and I went, that was predictable. It was whatever. It was exactly what people would like in the 1980s, but I wasn't moved. I just was like, it's fine. I get it.
The best part of E.T. is the best part of E.T. is the John Williams score. I think E.T. is kind of boring, overrated. I didn't like it as a kid. I don't like it now.
Yeah, I wasn't all that moved by it as a child, and I never was compelled to watch it again.
Yeah,
I've seen it once.
I just
maybe
remember he
twice.
gets drunk and then he turns into like an old cat turd. And that's
Yeah.
like it. That's all I remember.
Talk about a bad design. Like Spielberg is responsible for some of the best films ever made, but E.T., like they had to know it looked like a turd with a neck. Like as a kid, I had never. What I said,
was
I had never seen
ugly.
it growing up. My aunt had my family would all go to the these pottery classes. They'd all go and do this shit, but they had this like ET bank that they had painted in pottery class, and it just sat at our house. And I was like, "What is this?" Like I hated the ET bank. And if you go to somebody's house and they had that stuffed ET, I'm like, "Ew, I hate the stuffed ET." It just was such a dumb thing. And then I saw it, and now I'm part of this club that has seen ET. Will I ever watch it again? No, ever.
Yeah.
Like. E.T. doesn't belong on my shelf. E.T. belongs on someone else's shelf.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's funny? Speaking of ET, I've been to the ET landfill.
Oh, dude, how was
For
it?
the cartridges?
Yeah, it's right outside of Holloman Air Force Base, like 3 hours south of me, where I used to live.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Did you find
They kicked
anything?
me out.
Oh,
They kicked me out. But the warehouse where they stored everything that they excavated, the warehouse is still there, but it's the whole thing's fenced off, and it's just an old landfill. But yeah,
it's such a weird thing that's like a historical landmark though to the internet.
yeah, oh yeah, it's a
The
it's a
Angry
big-
Video Game Nerd movie took place there. What chatter, Andrew? What's a movie that you guys just aren't going to watch that you've missed the boat on, like Ryan's Ghostbusters or My Former ET?
Honestly, probably The Hangover.
Yeah, I've never seen any Hangover. There's not a lot of movies I've seen. I bet you could name a dozen movies, and I've probably seen half of them.
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, I saw that once
Okay.
Why'd you say it like that?
because I'm not the biggest Pulp Fiction fan. It kind of annoyed me.
Really? Was it the pacing or the acting or
It was the
all?
middle. Like the middle just it annoyed me. It's the same with Reservoir Dogs. Yeah, I'm dying over here.
Oh, yeah.
The Lost Boys. Oh no, that whole character was that Mr. Orange or whatever. He bugged me so bad. He bugged me so much. I'm not the biggest Tarantino fan.
Okay,
At all.
fair enough. If you don't dig his style, then yeah, I mean you're not gonna.
I mean,
Not
his,
gonna be
his
too
dialogue,
hot on
sure.
it,
You know, he writes dialogue the way that people normally speak. Ooh, I get it, but nope.
Dion on the show is not a fan of Tarantino. He's like, he's too comfortable using the N-word. So I'm just like, all right, Dion, that's fair.
Yeah, I'll
I
agree
just-
with that.
I just don't like Inglourious Bastards or Kill Bill Act 1. I never saw 2 because I hate
Me either.
I was so like excited by this movie based on the trailer that when it hit DVD, I went to Media Play and bought it blindly. I went home and I fucking hated it, and I never touched it again. And when I got to college, I traded it for a copy of Halo 1. Halo 3 had just come out. I just hated it. I was like, my friend, his name was Greg. He listens to the show. I'm like, anything, man, to get rid of this. He's like, here's a copy of Halo. Done. Like Halo had no value back then.
Combat Evolved.
Yes.
Very
Halo
first one.
Combat
Here we go.
Evolved, $4.99
And that
at
disc-
GameStop. Here's Kill Bill. Outrageous.
That disc would never be played. I don't think I did anything but open it to read the manual a couple times, and it was a trade up. But overall, like I guess I like half of the Tarantino movies. I'm ambivalent towards Reservoir Dogs. I do like Pulp Fiction. I do like Jackie Brown. I did like what was the one? The Django. I thought that was a good one, and I liked The Hateful Eight enough. But I don't care about some of them. So
I like
Good
the
luck with
beginning
your
of Reservoir Dogs. You know, like when they're in the restaurant, they're talking about tipping and Toby Wong, fucking Charlie Chan, right? Like, I like that part, but then it gets, I don't know, it's just kind of weird. First time I've ever shared this, I have a severe problem with animated movies with anthropomorphic animals. So like Zootopia, where you have
okay.
you know, a bunny rabbit wearing clothes driving a car.
Right.
No, absolutely not.
Under
I'm like,
no
They're wearing stuff
circumstance.
designed for humans. using things that are like, ergonomically designed for people with opposing thumbs. Why are you driving that? It sucks. I can't do it. I cannot do anthropomorphic animal movies. Yeah. Nope. Not Sing, not Zootopia, the bad guys or whatever it's called. None of that stuff.
How do you feel about Cars?
Yeah, no.
Why do the cars in Cars have doors?
Right?
There's no people.
I don't think I've ever seen Cars.
Yeah, it's not good.
I haven't seen it.
Don't want to. I've seen it as a tech demo at a Best Buy to show off a TV. That's about as much of it as I've seen. So
yeah. Like I know that Larry the Cable Guy is a tow truck, right?
Yeah, Mater. I do know that.
Yeah.
I mean that's
at Ollie's.
Yeah. I went on the Cars ride at Disneyland. Does that count?
That's a good ride.
It's a good ride. Yeah.
I like that. ride.
I've never.
That's why they have doors.
You've never been to
They
Disney?
don't have doors on those cars.
No, I've never been to Disneyland. I didn't go when I lived out in California. I went to Star Wars Celebration that was next to Disneyland.
Yeah.
I went to have a fan dinner at a hibachi barbecue next to Disneyland, but I didn't step foot in there. It's like going into hell. I'm just not. There's no reason to go.
Dump now. A dump.
Well,
Straight dump.
Well, everybody goes on about like don't support the company you dislike. There's a difference. Like I like action figures and I like Marvel, and so like if they're gonna make a Jim Lee Cyclops, I'm not gonna let my displeasure with The Last Jedi rob me of Jim Lee Cyclops. I'm just not gonna do it. But my displeasure of their things overall will prevent me from going to Disney, where I'll spend money on different things that they'll make a higher profit margin from. Like if you think about it that way, then you can break it down. But realistically, I just don't want to go to Disneyland. I grew up here in Cincinnati where we have Kings Island. We have good rides at Kings Island, roller coasters, all kinds of cool stuff. It is not this podunk theme park. Like it's funny when I'll talk to people about Ohio, they're like, "Oh, Ohio, like the meme." Maybe Northern Ohio is kind of boring, but like Cincinnati is just a big city. We have everything. You name it. Like, but our theme park is just awesome. And so we went to Disney World in Florida as a kid, but I've never been to Disneyland in California. And so like when I lived out there, I've always known that Disney just had lesser rides. It was about the teacups and the bullshit. I want roller coasters. I want to hang upside down and shit. And Universal has a couple of those rides. And Universal is like a weird multi-brand theme park where it's like there's Nintendo and this and Marvel. Yeah, Marvel at some point. Yeah, the one in Florida. And Harry Potter, if you're into that stuff. And to me, a theme park should be about like this bigger thing, this like fun experience. I don't like enough Disney. I feel like they're just stretching it. It's like, hey, look, it's Mr. Lumiere's whatever shop, or it's the thing from The Lion King. It's like, all right, like you're really on point, you're really on brand, but like I grew up out of your shit by the time I was like 7. So just that's my rant. Sorry. It's late
and Disney, like they rebrand all their stuff like at random. They turned one of the best rides at California Adventure, Tower of Terror, they turned it into Guardians of the Galaxy Escape, and all they really did was slap a bunch of crap on the Tower of Terror. It's still the Tower of Terror. And it's like they did it so piss poor,
lazy.
Still cobwebs in there.
Jeez,
like really? The Tower of Terror cobwebs are still like in some areas of the buildings, like you couldn't pull those down. And then like they changed Snow White's, was it Scary Adventure, because they said, oh, it's too scary for kids. And I'm like, when I was a kid, I had to endure that. And it's just, but Universal is just destroying Disney parks wise left and right. So
the one they're building in Florida looks amazing.
The one in California, that Nintendo World, like that was on my list of things to do before I left that state. I'm not joking. Like I was counting down the days, like, all right, I need to be packed by this day, this by this day. But there was a day that had to be Nintendo Day. I got up at 6. I took an Uber there. I waited in line before like anyone was there. And when the gates opened, I ran with everybody to get in there because I had to see this thing. It was awesome. Like I don't buy into a lot of hype, but that delivered on the next level. I was like, holy shit, it's really Nintendo World. Like you walk in and it's like you're in, remember like in those movies where they'll do the big sweeping pan shot where you look up and you're like, wow, there's so much, to see. It's kind of like when you walk through the tube, you're like, holy shit, this is cool. And there's Mario and you can punch blocks and the food is all delicious and on brand. Like it's cool as hell.
Yep.
But if I'm not all about Nintendo, I can step outside and go hang out with Shrek. And that is cool to me too. So that's kind of what I want out of it. And I hope the Florida theme park, like I'm going to take the channel there. We're going to do, we're doing Nintendo in Japan because we're going to Japan for Star Wars Celebration next year. So we're going to do all kinds of stuff on the build to that trip. But I'm going to make sure we go to Nintendo World in Japan and do all that shit for the channel. So there you go, folks. Keep following us.
Tokyo Disney still has Splash Mountain. So there's that.
Maybe we'll see if somebody can like comp us in. We'll just be like, look, we're this big American show, and we need to be
big American.
Yeah. Thank you for getting my joke.
Yes.
You're
welcome.
That's gonna be fun. Let's read some of these super chats, folks. By the way, moving forward, including this past week's show has already changed it. We're gonna read your stuff to have a more active conversation. But tonight, obviously, we wanted to spread the word on something, but we were having a lot of fun. Like, you know, Ryan and Chad, we could talk about toys and shit for hours. And Chad, I'll tell you this, dude, you get me into G.I. Joe to the point where I'm like, man, I need to know, like, should I get this figure back? Like I don't know if I told you this, the one that has the, it's like a scuba diver set that's coming out. I know you're not a classifieds guy or whatever, but I was like,
60th anniversary.
Yeah. I was like, that's cool. I was like, oh, do I need that? Kinda. Like, even I'm considering getting that. So when we talk about this stuff, I'm like, He-Man's a no. Transformers are too pricey, but I'm like, I could get a couple cool G.I. Joes. Like, I think Cobra Commander's cool looking. The designs are. That's kind of what I'm buying in.
As far as Hasbro's brands go, you know, they got Marvel, they got Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Transformers. I think you get your best value with G.I. Joe. Classified, now Classified is their best brand, I think.
And the weird thing is they don't put G.I. Joe on any of their stuff. So if you look at their investors fact sheet, G.I. Joe's not on there, but frickin' Play-Doh's on there. Star Wars is on there. Transformers is on there. And most of them are partner brands. Not so much Transformers, but there is that Takara Tomy kind of handshake thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But G.I. Joe's not on any of their investor fact sheet stuff. And they when they pitched Classified, which was basically they finally came around to Bobby Vala's idea when he was still there, and then they just kind of took it and went with it. They only expected it to last like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
What are they on now?
4.
Yep, this is year 4.
But they've got a lot more in the pipe too. I mean that HasLab Hiss tank. Sorry, it's not a tank. The HasLab Hiss, that thing hit all of its goals in 9 hours. Everything.
I saw that. I follow all HasLabs just
right
because the Star Wars one shit the bed so hard. I'm just always, looking to see for data.
You don't want that bag of bones with the Rancor?
That's why they're really leaning into G.I. Joe right now, because Star Wars and Marvel aren't selling like they used to.
Well, those licensors are like a stone around their neck.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that sucks too is like, and I don't want to sound like, fuck it, I'm not going to preface it. I picked up a couple Star Wars figures over the last couple of months, some of the newer ones, because the technology is getting really impressive on the 3 3/4 inch line. Like I picked up that Han Solo Endor that came out. When you look at it in hand, you're like, wow, that finally looks like Harrison Ford. That like in person, it's even better than in a photo. Their new Stormtrooper, I saw the pictures online. I was like, shit, the articulation and the detail. I've always had, 3 3/4 inch Star Wars stuff. I'm impressed with that. Black Series, the selection's garbage. I'm not going to buy it. But there's this new line they keep harping on. This is where I hate about Hasbro, or what I hate about Hasbro, excuse me. They keep making these interim scale lines that are for kids, and they go overboard with them, and then they die. And so you're just left with like making Star Wars look like it all sucks. And yes, the new stuff sucks, but there's a small sliver of us out there that are like, oh man, that Han Solo looks great. I'm gonna pick it up. Or man, that Boba Fett is really on point this time. Man, they finally got the paint right on Admiral Mahdi's sideburns or something.
I grab all of the I grab all of the Old Republic figures that they come out with, and I also grab all of the ones that are based off of the Jedi Fallen Order and its entries games.
There is a small audience for every version of these things, but it just sucks when they go in the direction to appeal to nobody, essentially. Yeah. And like, I would love. I ever meet Michael from Retro Blast, I just want to talk about the Indiana Jones toy line that shit the bed last year. That was such a fascinating 90-day window, and then it disappeared. Like, I've never watched a toy line die. It's like the Fall Guy. Within 17 days, it's on home video. They just don't have a place anymore if they don't hit it.
What about the re-release of Starting Lineup, though? That failed spectacularly.
Dude, do you remember getting the emails? They were originally like $50 or $60. They were like stupidly expensive. And then they're like $39 when they got released, and now they're $7.99 at Ollie's. Like, I was considering getting the backboard because it seems kind of cool to have an in-scale backboard. Maybe for the I'll go get one next time I'm there. I'll get it for the X-Men.
Aren't those like $3?
Yeah,
it's worth it.
I try not to go into Ollie's and just buy a bunch of crap because that'll be like a terrible decision where it's like, oh, and here's my Ollie's collection.
Right.
It's like that's all I can preface it with.
My big thing with, and I'm going to leave Marvel Legends out of this because that's just been its own monster for so long, and they can go in numerous directions because of all the source material. My big issue with Star Wars Black Series and G.I. Joe Classified, I always feel that one, toys should be for kids always first. Two, availability, affordability, and not having the majority of your line be exclusives. I know it's like three things in one, but right.
I agree.
I hate retailer exclusives with a passion.
When they price kids out of toys, like, you're ruining your own future. Like, are you a toy company or are you adult collector company? Because that's where you get your NECAs and your Mafex and your SH Figure Arts and all that stuff.
Yeah,
that's
your Revolt
their deal.
all of that. Yeah.
Hasbro, the company started by Murray Hassenfeld, is a toy company. Well, now they say they're a game company first and a toy company second. If you don't make toys for kids and you price kids out of toys and everything you do is like, you do these live streams and you make everything like super hype and, reveals and look at this and get your credit cards ready, folks, and stand by on your computer because we're going to blah, blah, blah. Like, who are you trying to attract? You only want deep pocket adults. That's good for right now, but it's not going to last. You got to make toys for kids, and Classified is not for kids. It's not aimed at kids. Black Series used to be 4-inch, and then they made it 6-inch, and now everything Hasbro is chasing that Marvel Legends like decades-long success, where all they want to do is everything is 6-inch, no more play sets, barely dioramas, a vehicle if you're lucky, and you better say thank you. And most of the time, we're going to make them HasLabs and hide stuff behind Pulse. But we don't really own Pulse. Pulse is like a third-party thing, which a lot of people don't realize.
I didn't realize it right now.
I thought it was in-house.
No, it's not. It's not Hasbro's. That's why if you order something from Hasbro Pulse and say Ryan orders it from Big Bad Toy Store, Ryan's getting it first. Every single time.
Really? And Big Bad Toy Store is usually like the last that people will get.
Every single time. Or say even Amazon. You will get it from Amazon or BBTS before you get it from Hasbro Pulse. And if you have a Pulse Premium membership, that doesn't mean that you're going to get it first. It just means you don't pay shipping. That's all it means. And half the time when they do these releases, they screw it up. It goes live an hour before they even announce it, and the shit's already sold out. It's just, you got to get back to the business of making toys for kids. Be a toy company. You can still do the adult collector whatever with your 96 hits of fucking deco, pardon my language, Jeff, but
you're good.
At the same time, that should be the exception and never the rule. And right now it's the rule, and that's where like you're just going to hit diminishing returns.
Well, I don't disagree with what you're saying or your sentiment at all. I think it would benefit them if the companies, let's say like a Marvel, would have consistent presence of a character, because you have people like, from my perspective, G.I. Joe is going to sell to the guys that grew up with that 80s cartoon or people that like the comic book or things like that. There's not enough G.I. Joe presence or some of these things presence to like get. I don't think kids are going to find it on their own. I know people say streaming's whatever, but like even with Star Wars, I'll use something in my wheelhouse. Kid looks up Star Wars, they're not going to really find the original Star Wars, but data shows that that's what sells the most. So if you're showing a kid flashy shit on Disney Plus, and then they go to the store, they can buy the Mandalorian because he's there. That is a forever Star Wars character that hit. That is the one that hit old fans, new fans, and the future fans. It's a well done character. But my point is, the kid goes home and watches the show. Oh man, I like this character. You go to the store, that character's not there. You go online, that character hasn't been made in 5 ways, and that character's $60. Oh, well, then the parent's not going to buy it. So then the kid's going to go, I can't have the thing I like. They're not just going to jump to the next character. They're just going to jump to something else that they can get. So you're going to like, oh, Transformers is on Netflix. Well, I can go to the store and I can get Optimus Prime. Oh, I like Super Mario. When I'm done playing the game, I can get my little figure. You got to have a constant presence for the character or any kind of toy to work. There's no world where you can just pump out expensive toy lines for summer blockbusters and expect them to change your anything. The Dungeons and Dragons toy line was a huge flop. That thing is just barely over a year old. I paid $5 for it. Hasbro toys, I get that some of them are valuable and people love them, and I got a ton of them. I will speak honestly about them. But you have to have something that is consistent. And sadly, nostalgia is the one consistent thing that sticks around, guys. And that is what people will spend money on. That is why McFarlane will make 900 Batman figures, because Batman is the one thing that has a constant presence from DC. Superman was gone for 19 years from cinemas, and Superman really hasn't been a big presence in my lifetime. If you go back in the past, Superman is the premier superhero. If you get to the 90s, where I'm growing up, the X-Men and Spider-Man and Batman had always been there because of the movies and all of this stuff. Batman is their popular character, and Batman could have 1 million figures, and they'll sell all 1 million, and they'll make 10 variants of each one, and they'll all sell. It's all about constant presence. There's no world where anything else works. And until Marvel or Disney with Star Wars or Hasbro with the G.I. Joe cartoon or somebody goes and says, hey, we need to go back to formula and we're going to sell the thing to sell the toys, then it'll work. Then they'll make it for kids, and then it'll become another self-sustaining thing. And that's what we all want, because the joy that you had as a kid playing with these things can't be replicated on a digital screen.
Back to formula.
Agreed. And that being said, that's why I have an issue with the psychology of nostalgia, because it is overused and it is abused, and I think it stifles creativity. When, again, going back to Joe, 1979, 1980, Bob Prupis, Kirk Bazigian, their whole team, Operation Blastoff, like, how are we going to revive G.I. Joe? Now, they knew that Star Wars was huge because, Kenner was just killing it, at the Bernie Loomis scale. And they knew that they could do world building, vehicles, play sets, etc. All the environments could be, represented. But what the Hasbro guys didn't do is they didn't say, well, let's take, G.I. Joe Talking Commander, and let's take Adventure Team and Bullet Man, and we'll make them Star Wars size. They did something new, right? Cobra, they came up with Cobra, Snake Eye, Storm Shadow, all of everyone's favorites. And I think that we could be more creative, and then you wouldn't just have to rely on the adults.
Yeah. I agree. I don't like that it's just for the adults, because I find myself arguing with other adults like a child over dumb crap,
like Viper Island.
Yeah.
Well, mine's a little different. Mine's like when somebody goes, oh, I picked up this new Marvel Legends whatever, and it beats the hell out of every company, including Mafex. And I'm like, you're comparing a $25 toy to a $100 toy that you've never held in your hand? Like, I'll just say stuff like that. Like, I'll honestly say, have you played with the other one? No, I just know from pictures. Then you can't talk on it. That's about as dick as I get. In many ways, though, and I know I'm the weird outlier, in many ways, though, like certain parts of the collectible market is the best it's ever been. I think it's really cool that a lot of weird things are serviced, and the quality across the board. I know toys are more expensive. I'm not saying that I like to pay more, but there's a lot more moving parts in like my Goku figure up there from when I was a kid to the new one. I'm like, that is definitely worth $40 to buy. Like, there's certain things that I look at and I just go, oh, it sucks that there's. Well, here's the thing, though. To get back to you, Chad, real quick before we start to wrap things up, like, there is like Dragon Ball Z is the prime example. There's the $10 cheap Goku on the top shelf for the kid, and that toy line sells out. And there's the
Then you have
slightly
the
more
SH
expensive
figure arts.
but there's even a $20 version that's slightly lesser than a figure arts, but it has like all the paint apps, but they reused parts or whatever. And then there's your figure arts version that gets the the elite version, and that's for the guys like me that go, I want it to look like a cartoon. Like that to me is the perfect synergy that I hope we can get with stuff and make new stuff at the same time, because I really want to get out of this like loop of like, oh man, it's Dragon Ball Super. It's the same. It's just new enemies and more power and higher levels of energy. Like, cool. But what else is out there? And thankfully, you could find it in other parts of the world. But here in the West, we really gotta and I mean this to the younger generation too. Like, guys, make your new shit or support us, like you guys like me that are making new shit with Wokebusters. Like, we want to get out of this like never-ending cycle of the same pop culture. It's been the same. Like, our world. And I know this is hyperbolic to some, but our world hasn't really changed much since the smartphone took over, because like technology doesn't look different. There's no big evolution. It's like, oh, the phone from 10 years ago on the outside looks the same as the phone from today. Like, they didn't do much. Cars look the same. The style's the same. Music's the same. The TVs are all the same shape and they're all flat. Like, nothing really shows a decade's change. Nothing really shows a change in anything. And our entertainment keeps coming out the same way too. The fact that I watched the X-Men from my childhood come out to the same theme song from 30 years ago was cool for a couple of weeks. And then I went, all right, what are we going to do next? And now it's going to be Age of Apocalypse, and I'm not on board.
That's why you couldn't have,
that's proof that the 90s were the last real decade.
That's why you couldn't have Back to the Future now. You couldn't have Marty McFly go back from 2024, because he'd go back to so much similar stuff. Like, you're not that man out of time. You're not so weird to everybody around you. It's not like going to the 50s from the 80s.
Ryan, real quick, I do believe everything kind of shifted around 9/11, because like everything just changed entertainment wise, and then we started getting into this loop of like adapting old stuff, and then stuff went back, and then we got nostalgic for the 80s really quickly, and so we kind of just had new 80s stuff right away. And then by the time that we kind of exhausted that, we just then had new 80s stuff, and now we're in the 90s loop, and there's no 2000s loop because it's boy bands and like 5 things. So, well, it's not an empty future. There's a lot of positivity. There's a lot of exciting things to look forward to. I'm excited though for your guys' new growth. I'm glad we talked about the important stuff, but it's been so much fun. Like, we got to stream together more. We got to figure out times to do this stuff, because it's just a blast to talk about stuff. Like I always say, Chad, you make me like G.I. Joe more each and every time we, hang out. It's just a lot of fun. And Andrew, I'm glad you joined us and had some fun talking toys and collectibles. And I want to thank everybody out in the chat right now. Like I say, folks, we do try to keep up with super chats on the live to, keep everybody engaged, because we appreciate you guys here. We just had a lot of fun talking tonight. So we're going to hang out with you guys. And I see a lot of toy people, guys, in the chat. Let us know what more you want from us in terms of toy content. I'm a big collector. I'd love to talk about stuff, review stuff. I got a Hot Toys I did buy for the channel, and I've shown it once. I'm going to show it again. We'll do an unboxing fully. It's the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man from No Way Home. But, just tell me what you're interested in. Do you want more toy shorts? Do you want me to actually talk about action figures, do comparisons? I like that kind of stuff. It's just a small addition to add to the channel. It's more of a passion part of this stuff. So let me know. I'd love to talk about it all. And by the way, folks, as I keep telling everyone, we're putting the world in world-class bullshitters. I will be visiting toy stores and comic book stores in every city and country we take the channel to. So next year in Japan, expect tons of toy footage. I'm talking every toy store I can hit. We are going to go check out, film, document for you guys, and make tons of stuff. Shorts, videos, documentaries. We might even make a damn movie. But be on the lookout for that next year. It's a year out. I'm prepping now because it's a big undertaking, but I can't wait to make it happen. So, folks, let's check in with you guys, and thank you for your patience, folks. So, Shorty Short says, money to whoever dusts all those shelves of swag. Compressed air for the win here.
Yeah. Compressed air canisters.
An air purifier in the toy room is a must. Yeah.
I have 2, because this is a garage, right? So I have 2.
Yep. Yeah. I do have bad news about some of my collection that I brought from California. the weather change from the harsher, like with a more arid air to Cincinnati, some of the plastics warped, and I had a mint in box Michael Keaton Batman, and when I took it out to just put up, the corners started to just like disintegrate from the bubble, and so it's still, it's like the outer part, so it's like just cracked. There's like a crack in it, and I go, I was never going to resell it, but I wanted the toy to have less air to touch it, being super nerdy. So I guess I got to rebuy another one, is what I'm saying. So R.I.P. pristine mitten box Crime Attack Batman from the first wave of the Dark Knight collection from Kenner. Like,
great line. Great line.
Dude, the other day, I didn't realize this the other day, but my mom, I'll hang out with her and stuff, and we'll talk about the toys from when I was a kid. And she knew the Dark Knight collection because that was the first toy line that I had everything to as a kid. Like every version of Batman, you name it, all the Jokers. And then I even had the Toy Biz figures, which I would like mix and match because Bob the Goon was available. Like I need to get a new Bob the Goon. Are they worth like $3? Should I pay? What do you guys think of the
I would
Scott?
imagine they must be pretty inexpensive because Bob the Goon, I think you could still buy at Kmart in 1999. I think he was still on the shelf.
He was like, God,
Lando Calrissian.
Dude, was Lando around for a long time in the original Star Wars?
No, now.
Oh, now. Okay, yeah, dude, that general from Return of the Jedi, it's already out of Ollie's, but it's still at all my Targets. Like, no, until and I say this as a joke. Please don't take it seriously. Until something happens to Billy D. Williams, there will never be another surge in Lando Calrissian popularity. Yeah. So, like, maybe you should clearance those out for 90% off, and then I'll buy one for like $1.90, and I'll give some away to the channel members as well. Princeton Phalanx 59 says, by the time when this is all done, Diaper Island will not have any rear end left.
That's the plan.
That's the plan. Yep.
Xavier to God, thank you very much. He says, should Venom usually be the size of Bane or the Hulk?
Bane?
Yeah, I'd say Bane.
Juiced Bane?
Yeah.
I'm good with
I'm with Bane. Especially when his eyeballs pop out and you overjuice Bane. That's the best Bane. I watched an episode the other night and I went, I was afraid of this as a kid. And then I rewatched it. I was like, oh, this is why I didn't like this episode when his eye lenses pop and he's all veiny. Like, I'm like, what is this?
And I love Bane. I love Bane.
Bane is the shit. I got to get the, I don't really like McFarlane's Batman the Animated Series toys, but I got to get the Bane and the rest because I didn't get all the DC Direct. I just got the Batmans from that. So got to fill in the gaps. Xavier to God, thank you very much again. He says, Bumblebee and Rise of the Beast are reboot movies. They're not connected to the 2007 Transformer or the rest of the Bayverse.
Yeah, I was talking about
connected.
Is G.I. Joe gonna be
that way? Why not just start fresh? And if it's set in the past, like I wanted to ask you this. I don't know if I had mentioned it, but if there's ever like another surge in patriotism, do you think that's the next time to reintroduce G.I. Joe because it's so dependent on that? And now that we live in a more global setting, people are more critical of, everything. And it's more of like we got to look at ourselves too type of situation. Like I've always liked G.I. Joe, but I think for it to catch on, it's got to we got to have like another, thing happen to where
I want to say that's loaded to a degree because after September 11th, 2001, we had a massive surge in patriotism. The problem was that G.I. Joe's chief antagonist was a terrorist organization. That was the big issue. It wasn't the patriotism, is the fact that terrorism is very close to home now and has been. So the Cobra organization, that's why they don't call it a terrorist organization. They call it a criminal organization now. So they're trying to, that's kind of my issue with, if the world has changed to the point where you can't fight terrorists, God forbid, because I didn't do that forever. If you can't fight terrorists with a fictitious, military element, why are you still using that organization?
Right.
Do something different. But yes, Jeff, I do agree with you that G.I. Joe kind of waxes and wanes with, public opinion on our military and things like that. Yeah, absolutely. In the 80s, we were on that, Reagan high and, the U.S. beat the Soviet Union and all that stuff.
Rocky IV, man. That's Like,
and the hostages from Iran came home, and Jimmy Carter hit the bricks, and American flags everywhere, and so that's why G.I. Joe worked for a real American hero, because it was a real American hero. Now it's just, is it a real American hero? Is it not? Yes, no, we don't know. In Rise of Cobra, they made it pretty much the special forces of the UN. And why are you headquartered in Cairo? I understand it's at the center of all land masses on the planet strategically, yeah, but just make G.I. Joe a period piece and leave it alone.
I agree. I think most things need to be period pieces if you're going to adapt anything, because you can't. Too many people have an opinion on the way the world is, and you can't anybody. You can't make anything. So you can be nostalgic. You can put a bunch of old school music. You can make it like there. You can use old school sensibilities. You'll get everybody on board. And see, now that's the one thing I do hope we engineer in terms of movies, because then instead of people being offended by old films, they'll just be on board with sensibilities of movies that take place in another time, and they will understand the difference instead of trying to put. I got a fucking content warning if I played by. I was trying to play Rage Against the Machine the other day, and I was like, really? Like, it wouldn't. I was like, my music paused. What? This song might include self-harm topics and something else. I'm like,
oh my God.
What? Like, I've never had that happen to me, and I wanted to throw my phone, but it would be stupid because I'd be breaking my own phone.
Yeah, it's all safety scissors and the corners cut off. Yeah,
good God.
I never thought I'd be the person that's like complaining about that, but we've crossed the line. There's no more dragons to be slain in that way. It is what it is. This is a great screen name. Just Jeff, listener of the night, says, for smokes and road beers.
So all right, just Jeff is going to be hanging out with me on my stream tomorrow night at 7 Eastern, but that's a good quote from the Crow.
Turns 30 this year. We have a commentary, folks, over on Patreon. You guys see that 5 POA Crow that's like overly priced?
The Mezco, yeah. No thanks.
No. I am a sucker though for their 5 POA figures. Like, I have the Adam West set. I'm gonna get their animated series set, and I don't want the Scooby-Doo set. I want to build their whole like that world of figures, because I guess I'm nostalgic for when toys looked like that. So there we go.
I can see that all looking good on the shelf. I'm over the 5 POA thing.
The only thing is they're making toys based on things I already like. Like,
right.
Batman the Animated Series, I got the original stuff over there. So to me, it's like, oh, I can get more figures in that.
Yeah.
Ted Darkclaw says, hashtag we stand with Ryan, hashtag we stand with Chad. A lot of awesome people out there.
Thank you, Ted.
Ted and our friend Aaron have a really awesome toy store that they run themselves. It's an independent toy store called Hella Dope Toys.
Where can we find Hella Dope Toys?
Just online, helladopetoys.com.
Cool. Folks, check out helladopetoys.com. I'm going to check them out myself. It's toy store. I love toys. Logan Wood, thank you. The X-Suits versus Spider-Man comes down to Raimi actually being a comic fan and Singer wanting X-Men to be nothing like the books. It shows, man. Sam Raimi was the guy that he's one of the most important people to make a superhero movie, because we'll save that for the anniversary of Spider-Man 2 documentary we're working on.
But Singer didn't get nuts on the Superman suit. Do you think that he thought that maybe that was bridge too far?
Maybe because Superman is an institution that even he understood and respected because it's so old. Maybe that's why.
Maybe even he understood. Yeah, you don't get to mess with that.
Devil's advocate.
I was just saying, maybe the money was too good, and he's just like, you know what? I'll do whatever Warner Brothers tells me. That's it. Like,
he's like, you want me to make Superman the deadbeat dad? That's fine. Give me a check.
Hey, he's a piece of shit. Let's do it. I hate that. The costume, in hindsight, the trunks are a little too low, but it is what it is. Mm-hmm. Logan Wood, thank you. I do love that Raimi suit to the point where I've always accepted it, and I like it as the real life tactile Spider-Man costume because it's got raised webbing and it's got that cool honeycomb pattern. It is a work of art that they do not create anymore, because even though that movie has copious amounts of CGI, that suit had to exist first to look good for most of the film. And because of the lenses used at the time, they couldn't have the red-black separation, so they created the raised webbing and the silver, and they inadvertently created an awesome look that I'm going to sound hypocritical for a moment. I'm glad the younger generation is nostalgic for, because that means they'll make more figures for me, and I will happily buy Tobey Maguire figures. I bought them all, like literally them all. I got to look at the checklist of everyone ever made. I pretty much got them, except a couple of rare variants from Spider-Man 2. So I'm a testament to picking up what I like if they support it, or supporting what I like when they do it. James Lucas says towards a copy of Ghostbusters for LP.
Nope.
What do you want to watch it on? I got
4K. You got 4K?
DVDs. I got it from 4K. I got the box set, the one that everybody wants, the Ghost Trap and all that shit.
That'd be the only way to watch it. For me.
Yeah, it looks great. It's Ghost. Here's the thing. I know I made the joke about E.T. kind of being underwhelming, and that's how you feel about Ghostbusters. The jokes are so good, you'll probably just go, I know this joke from this. I know this from that. You'll just go, oh shit, man, Ghostbusters really is impactful.
I've heard that joke before.
Yeah. Listen, you smell that? Like all those lines from Ghostbusters have been used 1 million times over. So
you didn't used to look this bad.
It's a great movie. That's why I spent 3 years doing a Ghostbusters parody called Wokebusters. Folks, I should have the trailer on Wednesday. So if it all goes to plan, it'll be finalized and we'll go live on Thursday. It'll be this Kickstarter campaign. I've been talking about it. I'll do some video to talk about it so everyone has information about it. But we're making this big. This is the comic book event of 2024, 2025, every year moving forward, folks. I have a name for the brand. I'll announce that too. I got the domain secure, so no one can take my comic book company name on the internet. I'm set. I'm very happy about that. But follow me. Follow all that I'm doing right now, folks. We've been doing a lot more here on the channel, a lot more fun. We had an epic 400th episode, and if I do say so myself, tonight's High Council follow-up has been a lot of fun. Chad, Ryan, you are great co-hosts. I hope we get to stream together again many times in the future. Now, before we go, where can we find you on the internet, Laserpants?
You can find me not on Instagram at
Laserpants89. You stole my joke.
At 3POA_podcast on Instagram, and at 3POA podcast on YouTube.
Chad, same question to you, sir.
It's Chad on YouTube. It's Chad, real simple. And then on Facebook, it is Chad, but I have a link to the Facebook on my YouTube page. And I currently don't have an Instagram, but we're working on that.
It'll be back soon. Folks, make sure you share their content and this video to let people know, including the folks at Instagram, what went down so they can help get accounts back. That's the beauty of having an awesome audience out there. You guys can help make great things happen. Andrew, anything else you'd like to say before we read our super chat from Xavier to God?
Well, fulfillment for Yaira #1 starts next week. So big deal. And we're going to roll right into the next book that was written by the great Mike Barron, legendary Mike Barron, and illustrated by Will Conrad. So we're rocking and rolling over at the Rippaverse. It's a great time to be a indie comic creator. It's a great time to be an indie comic book fan. Honestly, there's so many guys out there. Got Wokebusters coming, a ton of stuff coming down the pipeline for the Rippaverse. Pay attention to the indie guys, people. Like we're trying to make it happen. We're trying to put more content in y'all's hands that isn't the same stuff that you've been consuming for decades, especially considering the state of a lot of it over the last decade and a half.
And toys too.
Independent toys, absolutely.
Yeah, Valaverse. What else we got independent wise? Because where was I somewhere and somebody's talking about toys and I was like, check out the Valaverse Action Force stuff because I don't really have a stake in anything, but I want to see Bobby succeed because he's doing it. It's literally what we're talking about. He's doing it. His toys, and they're high quality stuff. You collect them, right, Ryan? You got a bunch of them, right?
Yeah, we got loads of them. We got one right here, glow in the dark.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And,
a lot of accessories.
He was that guy when he was at Hasbro where he was always like fighting for the collectors, fighting for the fans of these IPs. Like that's how he made waves at Hasbro's because he was like, he didn't want to make crappier toys.
Yeah.
So now that he gets to make his own toys, he's like, I do whatever I want. And it shows. So
that
awesome.
I I got to pick up his, was it Legend of the White Dragon, that Jason David Frank Bat in the Sun thing he got the rights for. I just want to pick it up because there's Tommy the White Ranger, Tommy the Green Ranger. Let's get that last Jason David. Oh, you got one.
Pick this up yet, Jeff? You got to pick it up, man.
I do.
You didn't pick this up, Jeff. You got to pick this up.
Is that a goat? I'll take.
That is a goat. And it screams.
You know, me and the screaming goats. I gotta have a
goat.
You
ever play Goat Simulator, the video game?
No.
Oh my god,
my kid has played it. Yeah,
it's terrible. I know how to beat the game. Like, I played it enough because it's intentionally broken. So you're like, how do I play this? Well, I figured out how to play it, and now it's amazing when you know how to like do 57 front flips and then use your tongue to stick a propane tank onto a car and then explode everything. It's that kind of game. It's stupid, but check it out.
Sir. No, sir.
Xavier to God, thank you very much. Andrew Bumblebee was supposed to be a prequel to the Bayverse, but that changed because of The Last Night was a failure, even though the retconned Bumblebee into World War II.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, dude, I feel sorry for
Lorenzo Di Buonaventura. Fixed.
Dude, how is Simon Kinberg going to be making a new Star Trek movie? Like, what? Right? Yeah. See, folks, you got to support the independents because when these projects make enough money, then they get noticed. Just because a creator makes it doesn't mean they're going to become indoctrinated and woke and all this bullshit. It means you got somebody on the inside making stuff too. It means, well, Simon Kinberg might get pushed off of a Star Trek movie, but some guy that likes Star Trek comes in and goes, well, I know how to tell a good story in this universe. You know, there you go. So just always look for what's next in entertainment. Push out what you don't like. Guess what? Your favorite brands and IPs won't die. They really won't. Like, you don't have to go see them. You know, if you don't support the next 12 Spider-Man movies, I will bet you your life that Spider-Man will still exist. All of this stuff will be fine. These companies want you to think, oh man, it'll go away. No, what'll happen, it'll be like Power Rangers. They'll exhaust it, they'll give it a break, and it'll come right back with the same Mighty Morphin Power Rangers toys from a new company. Oh my God, it's the Power Rangers again. And everybody, not me, sadly, because I did not buy any of the Lightning collection. They can suck it. That's my anti-Hasbro toy line. Those toys suck. I'll save that rant for another day. Your Zord was garbage. But
the Zord was horrible. Oh, that's so bad.
That's my argument with people. We'll get on these toy debate rants, and then everyone's like, those toys aren't, they'll say the Hasbro ones are the best, and I say the Soul of Chogokin is, and they'll go, no, and I'll go, it's just because
you're not a real fan if you don't buy it, Jeff.
Oh, I'm a real fan. My rule of thumb is if it's a piece of shit, I won't buy it. So, you know, I'm not an elitist, but when it comes to here's the nerdiest thing I'll say all night, folks. I'm not an elitist, but when it comes to my Power Rangers toys, I don't accept anything but the best, and I will talk shit about the rest. So there you go. That's my line for toys.
Fair enough.
All right. So guys, thank you for watching. It's been an awesome night. I want to thank everybody new who joined us, folks. Let us know about more toy content. We will give it to you, and we will be back on Thursday with episode 401 for the show. So until then, folks, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other.
Dylan.